Movies are making billions of dollars once again. Comic books are selling, and 1966 Donruss Marvel trading cards are setting new records. The vibes are on in the collecting market, and tonight we're going to talk about it on the Ungraded Truth podcast. Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book fake? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how could it ever get crazier? And then it always does.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the #1 collectible show in the universe, The Ungraded Truth. I am Swaggle Haas, joined, of course, as always, by my co-host Ryan, Automatic Comics, Manu, the 99 Newsstand, and Rob, Neo Cards and Comics. Gentlemen, good to see you. Rob, especially you, 2 shows in a row coming off of rushing back home to be able to make the screen. That's how much this show means to you. How you doing, buddy?
Fresh out of the, well, not fresh. I've been home for about 3 hours. Long day of travel today, and long 4 days in Rosemont, Illinois. Not actually Chicago, but close enough. So I can already hear no drive. It's only 6 hours, so it's not worth the travel headache of a flight. Which there were a bunch of flight delays because
the weather was bad over here today, so I didn't.
Well, there was all that American airline bullshit in the middle of the week too, that impacted a bunch of people with like FAA grounding because of software problems, and there was weather trouble, the whole 9 yards. Anything east of the Mississippi, I will most likely drive because it's just I don't mind flying. I don't like not having control when I travel, and when you fly, you have zero. Your trip is entirely in someone else's hands, and I hate that.
Very true. Well, we are glad to have you back in front of the screen tonight, as we are glad to see our hosts and everybody in the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining us. As I get a Amber Alert in my background, but maybe you guys can't hear that because my microphone is picking it up. Hold on a second, guys. Hold on a second. This is why you got to watch the show live. Amber Alert. Okay, all right, we're fine, guys. But we got to do our housekeeping before we get into the show, which is going to be a huge show tonight because we got to talk about a lot of huge topics. Of course, the National just happened this weekend. Rob, like you already said, is fresh off the heels of it. We're going to get into a lot of topics with that. We have to do a recap of San Diego Comic-Con because of all the news of Hall H and Ghost Rider, and Marvel is maybe back. And we all, of course, have to talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day and its effect on the market. But before we get into our stories, we got to do our shout out to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, now at 19 subscribers, guys. This is a huge milestone for our YouTube channel. No, 1,900 subscribers. We're always very happy to have everyone's support over there. But if you have not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel, hop on over to the description. We would definitely appreciate it. And maybe while you're over here, you can click on one of these links and hop on over to our Spotify page as well. If you're somebody who enjoys listening to our show on your favorite RSS feed, you can hop on over to the Spotify link and maybe give it a follow. Give it a 5-star review. We would definitely appreciate it. Of course, the Ungraded Truth is a co-stream on all of our various YouTube channels, Ryan's, Rob's, mine. If you're watching on the various platforms, be sure to head on over to the link in the description and give everyone a follow and a subscribe because they would appreciate it for sure, because they take their time every weekend to break down the hottest stories. We will also have a couple sponsor segments later on in the show. We want to give a shout out to our sponsors tonight, which we actually have 2, Elite Comics 11 and Heritage Auctions. More on them later on. But with that, guys, we got to get into our lead story, which was, of course, the National, the greatest sports card show in the nation. The 46th edition of it just occurred out there in Illinois. And there was a lot of stories that actually came out of this. Before I got the show started, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe I could kind of, do a little search on X and see kind of what the vibes were for the show, since I myself wasn't there. And I noticed that a couple people, were just saying positive things. Like this user, Michaela, said, my thoughts on the National, the energy was great, and it was incredible. This person said, I thought the National was a good show. And then we get over to this third user here, Neo, who's just complaining about the line. So, The collecting curmudgeon just complaining about lines, but he wasn't the only one, because over on Sports Card Investors Instagram, he also made a post talking about lines, and this was a video I think got like 500,000 views or something like that. But let me kind of just table it right there. Rob, we can kind of get into all of the happenings and the stories, including some of your pickups. But why don't you kind of just break down your weekend for us? Give us the top overview of your feeling of the National. How was the show?
Packed. I believe they haven't formally announced, or at least I haven't seen, but I believe this will be the all-time largest crowd ever for this show, which it has been every year the last couple of years. It keeps jumping. The building that they have it in is not capable of handling that show anymore. That's part of what leads to that line. That line, the outside line, went like at least almost a mile down the street. That was the general admission line prior to the show opening up, because they don't have a good way to like queue people in. Like New York Comic Con, they put you in the basement and kind of hide the line. Out there, it's just one long ass line that goes all the way down the road. And
so do they not have anything that like serpentines it or anything like that?
No,
okay.
So just one long snake of humanity.
My goodness.
The sports card market right now is extremely hot. Like we are, in a lot of cases, we are hotter than we were in COVID bubble for a lot of different cards and a lot of different players. Like if you look at price charts, things are well past COVID things. Not everything, but the great players like the Jordans, the Kobes, LeBrons, Ohtani, Brady, like those very established stars and retired players, their card prices have just gone parabolic the last few months. And that was on full display this week, both from a buying and selling perspective. I mean, cash was flying everywhere, both people buying, both people selling, people taking profits, taking that money, spending it on other stuff. It's the typical show. It's just like I'm sure you probably have a similar experience at San Diego, where you walk past 5 dealer booths and they're like super high on price. Then there's the one dealer that's priced like relatively fairly. Then there's 3 more dealers that are like way overpriced. It's a similar thing here. You're going to run into all angles where the narrative will be that everything's high. And there was stuff a lot that was overpriced, but you could still find deals. You could still get plenty of cards.
My favorite post was the guy complaining about high prices when he wanted to buy to flip.
Yeah.
I just like, I don't think you're getting any sympathy from people.
No, where I start to have issues and where I push back is like when something sells for $1,000 all day long and the dealer has it in their case stickered for $1,500 on like a non-rare item that transacts constantly, and you could probably go on eBay and find 3 for like $1,100 that are sitting on eBay at $1,100 and they have it in their showcase stickered for $15. I'm just kind of like, what are we doing? Like, are you just hoping a dummy walks up or something? Like, because I don't mind a dealer pricing over comp, but I don't want them to be so far over that I don't even want to start a conversation with them, because I feel like we're not even living on the same planet. Like if you want to be 10, 15, 20% over, that's fine. But at least then we have a starting point. I know we've talked about this before with comic book dealers, where it's like they're pricing stuff like we're still in the COVID bubble, and their sticker is so far away from reality that you don't even feel like it's worth your time to talk to them.
Because you feel like it makes you come across as the jerk, where it's like, even if you offered 10% over comps, and it's like, but you're offering 50% below what their ask is, you're just like I feel like I'm the bad guy, and I mean, like that's not how it should be.
Yeah, I really wish you would. I know you briefly thought about attending the show, Swaggle. I think you could just literally make 15 videos about Comics Could Never, walking up and down every single aisle. Like the amount of money and transactions happening all under one roof, like Comics Could Never. Like the size of that room and just packed wall to wall with dealers and no pomp and circumstance. Or I shouldn't say no pomp and circumstance. There is a little bit of nonsense with like the Whatnot Pavilion, and there are some corporate activations, but nothing like a San Diego or New York Comic Con, where the dealer section of the show is actually kind of small, especially if you just pulled out the comic only dealer section of the show floor. Like imagine walking into New York, imagine walking into the Javits and the whole building is just comic dealers. Like that's
I cannot imagine imagine that would never happen.
Yeah. Or like I should say not the whole, but like say 80% of the building is comic dealers and then it's 20% corporate booths. Like that's essentially the National. So there's not a comic book equivalent. Like I go to Heroes Con and it's not Heroes Con times 10 would be equivalent to the National.
Well, I want to ask about that line aspect as it like pertains to like previous years. Like to me, like just watching from afar, and again, it's social media, so I don't really know, like, if this is just like, content creators just kind of making funny posts and, doing the whole thing. But that was the takeaway that I got from the National was, oh, it was really packed and the lines were really long. Ergo, it was really well attended, compared to like Fanatics Fest, which, maybe our last show, we talked about that, where my just overall social media takeaway was like, oh, look at all the viral moments, look at all the celebrities. Definitely not that this year, or not that for the National. I'd love to hear your, just kind of compare maybe the two, and maybe talk about like, it was attendance up. I mean, you mentioned that we're at COVID prices once again, but like, is that because there's more people that are buying these days, or is there some other explanation?
So I'm going to take the first part of that. I'll answer the first part first. I'm smiling because you said exactly. I just recorded like a recap video prior to this, and I talked to people on the show floor, and I said almost the exact same thing. Comparing Fanatics Fest versus the National, I said, if you look at these two shows, and you were like a casual, like maybe you collect a little bit, maybe you don't, maybe you're like, oh, cards are cool, but like I'm not like in the weeds of it, and you just viewed these two shows through the lens of social media, your view of Fanatics Fest is, look at all those crazy celebrity moments that are generated every 10 seconds, and your view of the National is that's just a place with a bunch of long lines. Like like that's the perception, and you literally just proved my case for me, because you weren't at the show. You follow collectibles fairly closely. You're not like the biggest card guy in the world. So you're like, oh, let me just see what's going on social with these two shows. And you literally fell into exactly what I thought it would be. The thing with the lines are, once they open up and get everybody in, the hack is, if you don't need to be in there right away, just wait like an hour and you can walk right in relatively smoothly. You don't have to wait that. You can avoid it. Now, of course, FOMO takes over and everyone wants to get in there as soon as the doors open. But they did have the most attendance that they ever had. In regards to pricing, a lot of people are having this conversation right now on the sports card content sphere of like, where is this coming from? What's driving the prices up? What's driving all this interest all of a sudden? And the general consensus seems to be that there's just a lot of new people and a lot of new money coming in. And maybe this is I don't know if this is a hot take, but people probably don't want to hear this, but it probably has a lot to do with the way Fanatics has marketed things. People do not generally like Fanatics. Like the hobby, the core collecting community does not like Fanatics and a lot of the stuff that they do, but you cannot deny that what they have done from a marketing perspective and getting new eyes and new cash into the ecosystem of cards. Like, we talk about this all the time. Like, comic books don't really have anything kind of driving that bandwagon. Marvel and DC aren't exactly like out there pumping. It's like what we talked about, I think, on the last show. Like, imagine if Marvel was out there like actively doing everything they possibly could to encourage people to engage in the comic book world. That's what Fanatics is doing with cards. So I think that's where a lot of it's coming from. No one knows. That's an educated guess. I don't know for sure, but the amount of new folks coming in and the amount of new money coming in, like people that are treating this more like art, like an investment, like that is definitely there. And I think that's why you're seeing a run on like the top tier all-time great players of like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s era.
Right. Ryan, you got something?
I mean, I was just going to say, like, when we say we're seeing COVID prices again, I mean, I realized that was 5 years ago. Like, it was a pretty long time ago. Like, prices can recover from that. But I also heard you say that there's been a pretty much like a almost straight up move for the last few months with a lot of cards. It's just always the same thing. It's like that stuff it tends to not last. You just have to be careful. And especially if you're saying you think it feels like a lot of new money. Like if it's people that are like, oh, this is my chance to make money, and they're gonna, they're pouring in, and then like the instant you have any sign of a crack, like you have people start panicking, like's happening to some extent in Pokemon. Like Pokemon is basically been more or less flat to a little bit down, and there's all these videos out there about, oh, is the market collapsing and all this, and it's just some of those things are built on very, shaky foundations. And so it's always just, it's worthwhile to be cautious. But I mean, the big difference, like you've said time and time again, big difference with cards is the breakers. I think the breakers really are they are the solid foundation at the moment, until for whatever reason that, people stop wanting to gamble, which probably will never happen. So
the thing with the breakers though, is they're only the solid foundation of new product coming out the door. They're not the solid foundation of 86 Fleer Jordans. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess I would say breakers / mystery pack type products.
Yeah, but even the mystery pack,
they do like make those with like existing cards. Like
they do. But the mystery pack guys usually chase modern case hits more than they do like LeBron rookies.
Okay.
Like the breakers, and I'm not saying repack guys definitely buy GOAT players, don't get me wrong, but they prop up more the modern and ultra modern side of the card world than I do the GOAT level players. I think it's more end user / investment card bros that are propping up the all-time greats more than the repackers. Now, all of it fuels each other because the ultra modern's doing so well. It allows you to play the flip game and the grade game and make money that way that you can then go buy the GOAT players. Like it's all one big happy ecosystem. But I do think that they are, if you're talking about strictly like propping up sides of the market, I do think that the breakers and the repackers don't fully prop that side of the market up of the GOAT players. And on the, like you said with Pokemon, I actually wish we would see, I would feel more confident about the sports card market if it does what Pokemon's doing right now. Because to your point, like YouTube content creators are going, oh, it's over. But when you actually look, like I have a shit ton of sealed wax that I track the value on every day, and it's not crashing. It's just not going up every single day anymore. It's just staying perfectly flat.
Well, it's like the thing I sent in our chat earlier this week, how Heritage had that Skyridge sealed box that a year ago, that a very similar box sold for like $100,000, and this one sold for $225,000. It's like, if you have things that don't sell every day that you can look at and you kind of look at the general trend, those are they're still way up. It's that kind of thing versus when you have people that need things to go up 10, 20, 30% a month, that's when it starts to get a little scary on what you're expecting when you buy this stuff.
That's why I'm actually happy to see Pokemon doing what it's doing, because it has flattened, and like Evolving Skies boxes haven't crashed down to $1,000 a box. They've just been sitting at like $2,500 to $2,800 a box for 8 months, maybe not 8 months, like 6 months. But they haven't gone down. They haven't crashed. They're just not going up anymore. They're just plateaued, which I would feel if you told me the sports card market plateaued the rest of this year and didn't actually really pull back, that would make me feel more bullish about the future than if it actually just kept going up and up and up every day. Yeah. Because if the prices flatten and there's still enough interest there to maintain, and the quote unquote panic sellers, there's still enough buyers there to gobble that up to keep the prices from like truly crashing, that to me feels healthy. Versus when we came out of COVID in both comics and cards, all of a sudden it was a race to the bottom. Like Pokemon's crashing, but it's not a race to the bottom. It's just a flat line. So I would be thrilled if like the GOAT card players just basically stayed flat from now through the end of the year or something, or until the next big spike. Like if we just kind of went through a little bit of a chill out period, I don't know if that's going to happen or not. If this was just like a run up to the national and now things are going to calm down a little bit, or do we see a reset or what? And, obviously the outside world can impact this tomorrow if something batshit crazy happens.
Well, I mean, that's one of the funny things I think too about the recent Pokemon stuff is that people have been screaming for new products to be going at MSRP and all that for years. And all of a sudden they are. And now people are panicking about it, and then they won't buy it. They're like, I don't want to buy it. It might go down. It's like everybody always does the wrong thing. It's like they always do the opposite of what they should do.
Well, it gets into, things that you've kind of hammered on about before, Ryan, where like, let's face it, like the people that are complaining were probably the people that were just trying to flip things anyways. And now they can, now that they can get things for MSRP, like they're not interested anymore. Kind of like what you already said, before, which was this video from this guy who from the thumbnail you guys can see, it says it's so hard to buy at the National with these delusional sticker prices. The funny thing was, to say is that he was, I guess he's like a repacker, trying to buy.
is one of the biggest breakers in the entire industry.
Yeah, the comment section was not friendly.
So that's what's so funny about it, is because the comment section was, can't buy at 80% to turn and flip a 2 to 3x comps for your repacks. Maybe the hobby is healing, and that was one of the more upvoted comments. And I kind of want to, ask you, Rob, like, with the high stickers and that sort of thing, and people kind of pushing back, like, was this people getting mad because they're just all the repackers like complaining about these stickers, or are like the collectors complaining about these stickers as well? And where's kind of the sentiment, I guess, within the buying aspect here for collectors versus dealers versus flippers?
People love to complain, so both sides are complaining. The people like Blaz, the repackers, are complaining because they can't buy 80 to 90% to flip. And to be fair, most repackers these days anymore are actually paying 95 to 100%, depending on the card. If it's something that they actually really, really want, they're paying very strong. But you also hear the same frustration from collectors, especially on the vintage side of things. Vintage sports dealers or vintage sports dealers are the closest thing we have to comic book dealers. They have very similar mindsets. It must be things about old paper that bring out certain qualities in those dealers.
It's probably generational. It's probably a generational.
It probably is. But like, there's this thing going on right now. Have we talked about NBA stickers on this show at all?
I don't think so.
Okay. So NBA Mike Baker, I won't go too far down a rabbit hole here, but essentially he will put an eye appeal sticker on a card. So say something's like a PSA 6. He'll put this sticker on it that basically says, like, this is a great looking PSA.
It's a CVA sticker on comics.
Yes, basically. Yeah. So dealers will get that, and then they will price it like it's a PSA 7. And in vintage cards, that could be a huge price jump. Or they price it like it's an in-between grade almost or something. And some dealers just do that on their own. If a low-grade vintage card has really good eye appeal, comps don't matter on that stuff to some degree. Like the last sale price, not all PSA 3s are equal, but now there's like a third party that's kind of getting in. They want a piece of the pie to like formalize it a little bit. But vintage dealers in general are generally speaking not the easiest to deal with, and they have their price, and it's basically like, hey man, if you want the card, there's my number. I don't care what the last one sold for, especially if it looks remotely good. You're seeing that on the GOAT level players that I discussed. If you want an 86 Fleer Jordan, even though that card's relatively common, the dealers are really standing firm by some of their sticker prices on it, even though they might not be necessarily grounded in reality.
Was that an our chat or a different one where there was a picture of like 30 or 40 Jordan rookies? It was just all in one.
Yeah, that was a chat for shout out to Drew Como. He had sent that from somebody that was at the National, but yeah, totally, flooded with Michael Jordan cards. But I want to bring Manu into this, and Rob, you mentioned going back to the vintage stuff that you were talking about, where everyone is chasing now some of those vintage, key cards. It kind of reminds me of the saying, which is, money goes where it's treated best. And I feel like, for the last few years, the best place to put your money was, in just an interest bearing savings account. Now we're not in that place anymore. People are starting to get a little more risky with their collectibles, and they're starting to, maybe take some money out of crypto and put it into, a trading card or a Pokemon card. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing. Manu, I want to bring you into this conversation and see if you have thoughts about this overall, but like, I guess maybe I can lastly set up, are the sports card people or the people that are getting into this, Rob, you mentioned new people getting into it. Like, are these some of the Pokemon collectors that are like maybe going into these vintage sports cards, or, vintage, I say, but like the 80s, key sports cards. And maybe that's what they're looking at to kind of like diversify their trading card world. But, I'll throw it back to you guys, Manu or Rob, if you want to pick up on that one.
I'll hit it real quick and then I'll throw it to Manu. I think there's more of a crossover from sports going to Pokemon than Pokemon going to sports is generally what I see.
I don't have much to add. I love the conversation that Neo and Ryan just had, and it's fun to hear. I think the only thing that I can say related to that I've been privy to is that there are sports card people coming into vintage Marvel. And that's something that I've been involved in a lot recently. And so we'll talk about that later in the show as well. But I wanted to know, like, was there vintage Marvel? Was there Marvel represented at the National? Like, or we could talk about it later, but did you see any of that? Like, what was Marvel cards like at the National?
And
there was
really quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, really quick. Maybe just to tack on, like, just TCG. Was there Pokemon and One Piece stuff there as well?
Yeah, so I'll hit Marvel first, then we'll go into TCG. Marvel, there was some. It was mostly the ultra modern, like the new release top stuff,
the top stuff
that has come out in the last few years. I for sure saw tables that had I didn't see much Donruss on the show floor. You always see a lot of the Batman, quote unquote, rookie card,
66
the 66
Batman.
tops.
Yeah,
that one's always, actually had my eye on a couple. That was something I was looking at early in the show before I found the stuff that I ended up getting. You always see those at the show. You always see 77 Star Wars, which I know is not more non-sport than Marvel per se. But not a huge Marvel presence. You could tell the dealers that were like also maybe breakers, and they would have some random case hits for Marvel. And I saw a few of those cards with like the Wolverine claws through it and some numbered stuff. You actually, what you see on the Marvel side more than like individual like chase cards or numbered cards, you see more autos, like actor autos and stuff like that. Not the fake autos, like actual real autos with actual ink on them, not printed on there, signed with a pen by an actor.
Yeah.
You see I don't want to say a lot of that stuff, but you'll see more of that stuff than you will like a Spider-Man refractor numbered to 5. You're more likely to see a Tom Holland autograph, or insert random MCU actor here auto on something.
It has a more universal pop culture sort of appeal. Here's the actor from the movie, not the nitty gritty of Marvel cards, like
correct,
that kind of thing.
Because there's a lot of dealers, not a lot of dealers, but there is a subset of dealers at the National that they deal a lot in non-sport autos. So they might have a showcase of just all like movie cards with autographs on it, and then they'll have another one of all Marvel properties with autos on it, and so on and so forth. Another one with just all television shows, one with all Game of Thrones autos in it. It's not uncommon to see showcases like that when you're walking around the show floor. From a TCG perspective, this is still primarily a sports show. One of the things I was curious about was how much TCG was going to invade, because it has invaded local and regional shows by a lot. I would say like last year's show was probably 5% Pokemon. This year's show was probably 10% TCG. More One Piece than I thought that I would see, to be honest. Not that there was a ton, but there was just more than I thought that I would see walking around the show floor. So did it increase? Yes, but it wasn't necessarily like full Pokemon dealers came into the show. It was more just like a dealer would have 6 showcases and half of one would have some Pokemon stuff in it. Whereas in years previous, they wouldn't have that. So it's like you could tell dealers were trying to mix a little bit of like just sprinkle a little bit of it in. There was still only a handful of like, I am only here selling Pokemon cards, or I am only here selling One Piece cards. It was more just mixing it in here and there. But part of that is the way that the show is structured. There's a very long wait list to get into this show. And the dealer list is so established. It is mostly built on the back of sports card dealers. So it's hard for that new blood to even get into the show. And where that new blood, that would be the folks probably trying to inject TCG into the show.
Makes a lot of sense. We're going to revisit that topic of Marvel cards later on in the show, and as it relates to the pop culture and stuff. But I want to switch a little bit of gear, still related to the National. Rob, I showed this video of yours that you posted earlier, and kind of making a joke about the lines. Specifically, this was a video of the line to send your trading cards into PSA. Obviously, PSA's doors are still very, very busy, and maybe even more interesting related to that, which I feel like this has now become, almost as interesting to watch as the inflation report. Anytime the Fed talks about inflation, but it looks like card inflation is going back up. The PSA backlog tracker is going the wrong way, as you put it. Rob, maybe you can kind of talk a little bit about this. And, I feel like we addressed this on a previous show where we were saying, even if they shut down that value tier, I mean, if you have a card that's still worth sending in and you want to pay a premium and you want to get your money out of it, I mean, you're still going to do that. And based on that line that we just saw and this bar that's going up, I don't know. PSA maybe not going to get back on track as early as they thought. What do you guys think about this?
So, Rob, does PSA do on-site grading, or is it all just like dropping off to ship off to one of their facilities?
So PSA, Beckett, and CGC did on-site grading. SGC only did take-home, and Tag was not in the building.
Okay.
That video that I posted of the line, that was on the first day. So PSA had $230 for end-of-show grading. That sold out within the first couple of hours on Wednesday. And people were thinking that price was too expensive and that nobody would use it. And of course, that obviously didn't happen.
Yeah.
It was $400, I think, minimum to get it done end of day. And then the other thing that quickly happened beyond selling out is that they were quickly not getting stuff done in time. On Friday, they announced that they weren't going to finish all orders that they had taken in for end of show grading, and we're going to have to take stuff back to their offices, and we're offering discounts and make goods and things like that. And people were pissed. Last I had heard before I left the show on Saturday, they were on track to finish almost all the orders. But I think some people have probably already left because not everyone is there for all 5 days. Like if you did a end of day grading on a Friday and you were expecting to get the card back on Friday and you were flying out on Saturday, and if that wasn't done in time, but it's going to be done on Sunday, that doesn't really help you. I think they had said like a few problem orders might not get done, but they were expecting pretty much everything else to get done. I've seen some stuff on social today about people saying that their cards still weren't done as the show was winding down. So I don't know how that ended up all shaking out. But yeah, they were doing on-site. Beckett also sold out of on-site grading slots pretty quickly. I think they made it to end of day Thursday before they completely sold out. I think CGC was open most of the weekend as their booth was busy. They were pretty steady, but nowhere near as crazy. You really didn't have to wait much of a line with them, which is hilarious because they were the cheapest to grade with. For PSA to get a card graded end of show was $230. For Beckett, it was $130-ish. For CGC, it was $45, and they had the smallest line.
45.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not even close.
And as you said from your ex, Tag was not in attendance.
Yes. And also, to be fair to CGC, they also broke their record for on-site grading at the National. Like they had a really good show. They were the easiest to submit and get cards back with, and they were the cheapest, and they basically had not much of a huge line.
Does CGC really hardly even grade vintage? Though? Like, I wonder if it's partly because they do more, like a lot easier stuff. You know, like
no, they do grade, but they absolutely grade vintage.
Okay.
Andy Broom, who is their head grader, is a huge vintage expert. He used to work and run a lot of stuff at Beckett. He's very well respected in the vintage community, so they do grade a lot of vintage.
I never see vintage with CGC, so that's why I was okay. It's just people choose PSA just because.
Yeah, they're just not well they don't command a good premium on the secondary market. It'd be like grading with, back when CBCS existed, why would you take your AF-15 to CBCS type, or maybe even like a brand lower. I don't want to, they're not like a P, what is it? What was it? PGX, PC? What was the?
Yeah, they're not a PGX. No.
Yeah, they're not PGX, but they're also not even probably CBCS. At least in modern sports cards and even vintage sports cards. They do get more respect in the TCG side of things. And I'm strictly talking about from a secondary market perspective. Most people, if you talk to them, they actually love CGC's holder. It's fantastic. And they grade very fairly and very accurately. I've had plenty of cards graded by them. And they always come back very close to what I thought that they would grade. I've never had any issues. For whatever reason, the secondary market just doesn't give a shit about them, especially in sports.
Well, interesting with the PSA backlog tracker, I don't know. I feel like it's probably going to keep climbing up. I mean, I want to leave some bullets in the chamber for you, Manu. You know, I want to get you involved with the conversation here.
No, it's all good.
But you know, the reason I say that is like, you know, I sort of wonder, you know, later on we're going to talk about the Donruss and the Marvel card sale, but I just wonder also too if like maybe some of the movement of the prices is due to the fact of this like backlog. Although, you know, the expensive cards, you know, you could skip the line, but I just wonder if like there's bottlenecks in every trading card aspect right now.
I actually just had that exact conversation, and it was in the context of like a massive Donruss sale and a collector that has a huge Donruss inventory that amassed his inventory over the last, like, let's just say decade. I could give or take a few years, but collecting Donruss even longer than I had even been aware of the set. And this was part of the conversation we just had, how this resistance to grading right now, given the obstacle and the price, is making available inventory that much more desirable on the market. So some of the lower end stuff, like for instance, you know, if you're not grading a card 34, if you're grading one of the cards that in a PSA 6 or in a PSA 7 is going to sell for $100, $150, $200, you don't really want to grade it right now, you know, so it's not being graded. Or if you're looking for that card, you're not buying it raw to graded, so you're going to buy the PSA 5, 6, or 7 that's available. It is absolutely having an effect on how someone's acquiring a card, because previously, you know, if the card's not that expensive, we might just buy a $40 to $80 raw. 40 raws and clean ones are kind of hard these days, but you might buy $80 to $120 raw and grade it, right? But at the moment, that's not as appealing as a prospect. So yes, a long-winded answer. You're absolutely right. It is having an effect on how people are purchasing, and it is potentially driving the prices, because that's what some of my seller friends have experienced. That's some of the psychology that they're, you know, battling with themselves as well. So it's very real. I absolutely.
It's West Coast Avengers 45 White Vision in card form.
Okay.
Just because I mean, it's like when that popped off, there were no copies available in 9.8 because nobody graded it. And there was a huge backlog in CGC when it was taking like a year to get stuff graded. And so the prices went crazy. And then by the time they all started coming back 6, 8, 12 months later, the prices just collapsed when the market got flooded with them. It's the same thing that you can be concerned about for any of these, where there's a big delay in being able to with the price of something jumping and the actual inventory becoming available.
No, absolutely right. And like I said, like in regards to the collector that I was speaking to and a few others like him, you know, if you've got the inventory on hand and right now that market is spiking and people have an obstacle in grading, you're in a great place to just sell your stuff, you know? And so, but that cautionary tale of how many cards are in the queue that are going to end up graded and on the population report on the other side of this, or how many cards are being held back at the moment that when, you know, grading is open for lower tiers get submitted, you have to be very cautious of that. You have to be aware that that population report is going to change. So spend your money wisely, you know, for sure.
Rob, is there any update on, you know, PSA's outlook now based on this recent surge?
I think still potentially by the end of the year. Chat mentioned PSA also just announced this week that they're opening up another grading facility in Dallas that just went online. It's actually in the same building as Beckett, so that's going to add some additional capacity. So I don't think we really know yet, even though this was a little bit of a backslide. I think that they'll still be opening up lower tiers of service this year. I don't think that means that we're all of a sudden going to get $25 per card grading back this year. You know, right now the cheapest is $80. Do I think it's still the cheapest? Do I think that the cheapest level to grade a card is $80 by the time we get to the end of the year? No, I think it'll be less, but I also don't think it's going to be $25.
So maybe grading is in fact a scam. It was all part of the plan all along. And maybe there's legs to the lawsuit, which we're going to talk about a little bit later on in the show. But, you know, before we get there, we're going to wrap up a little bit of last thoughts of the National here. Rob, any broader takeaways, or maybe you want to talk about how you have no more money anymore?
You guys say you can pull up, if you click that post, you can pull up the 2 cards that I acquired there if we want to show those.
Yeah, tell us about these 2.
So that one, I'm sure Manu's probably familiar with this one. Iron Man Rittenhouse. He has 2 pack pulled autos in existence. For Robert Downey Jr. This one, and then there's a same set, same year, a version of him in the Iron Man suit. This is the more desirable one. There's also an inscription version where he has the year on there. But that's probably one of the bigger Marvel Grail cards that exist, I would say, at least on the more modern side of things. And then the other one is the Grail of Grails for vintage Magic. Obviously not an alpha or beta. You could go a little bit harder on that, but yeah, it's kind of similar. The Lotus, the Downy I've been looking for forever. That card is extremely hard to find. It's one of those things that when they do pop up on eBay, they're listed at like 3x what they would typically sell for. It's kind of like the sure, if you want one, come hit my number. They're not realistically priced to sell. And then the Lotus, it's a card that I've always wanted, but it's a very similar play to me buying the AF-15 earlier this year. Vintage Magic and vintage comic books are the two categories that haven't gone parabolic like everything else. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where I decided to deploy cash and trade. The Lotus I partially traded into with some Jordan cards that went crazy in value over the last couple of months. So I took my profits on that and applied it towards that.
Nice.
But yeah, vintage Magic and vintage comic books are the two categories that haven't seen massive price increases. They haven't seen decreases. They've just been like this, as we've discussed in recent shows.
Unless you had a whole bunch of Ghost Rider ones, the 1990, then you could have
that's a little bit of a different story. So, but yeah, those are my two big pickups. And yes, I am broke now. I'll be between buying an AF-15 2 months ago and then those two. I will be hopefully chilling out the rest of the year.
Well, congrats on all those pickups, man. That's awesome. I love that Black Lotus. That's an impressive growth to the collection.
Definitely an impressive growth to the collection. Congratulations on the purchase. And even though you're broke, don't worry, because I got something very special for you. A special offer from one of the first sponsors of our show tonight, which actually is going to be Heritage Auction, guys. We got to give a shout out to Heritage. They are the biggest auction house in the United States. Heritage Auctions barely need an introduction. One of the great places to buy collectibles, vintage items, dinosaur bones, dinosaur teeth, all types of goodies. And, if you're like Neo and you're, needing to pinch a couple pennies here and there, Heritage Auction is actually offering an exclusive offer for everybody watching our show. The exclusive offer is for new clients, where they are going to be offering $50 off on anyone's first purchase of $100 or more. All you got to do is register for an account, complete the bidder registration form, and then you'll receive a $50 promotion and voucher redemption once you win a item of $100 or more, which I think is a pretty great deal overall, so I think that's awesome. And, at the very least, I always say it's like, even if you're not going to be buying anything on Heritage Auctions, I mean, having a Heritage Auctions account, I think is something that is honestly a no-brainer. It's free. It costs you nothing, and it gives a tremendous amount of value for you if you actually have a Heritage Auctions account. I don't know if you guys agree with that one.
I mean, we know that a lot of comic collectors like to do things frugally, and so one way that you can use it is for pricing. Like once you have an account that you can sign into, all of their historical sales information is there that you can search for. I use that all the time for art that I'm looking at, because that is absolutely, if you're at all interested in comic art or original art, that kind of thing, it is a great resource for looking at historical prices. A lot of art has sold there from a lot of different artists, and so you can get a very good representative idea of what things might be selling for. So yeah, having access to that pricing information, and it doesn't cost you anything, like unlike other pricing services, then hey, I mean, it doesn't hurt, and you get $50.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you go over here to some of their sales, like you said, if you click in and you make an account, you can go down and you can see kind of recent sales. So it's like we said, it's like a pricing guide. You can see, okay, a recent 3.0 of an ASM1 sold for $7,600. And it's really a kind of an awesome ability to be able to have that at your disposal. I don't know, Manu, you got any thoughts about Heritage Auctions here?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. You having an account for, there's multiple benefits. Like from my personal perspective, just piggybacking off of what you guys said, taking a look at price history for stuff is super fun. Like all this activity that's happened in art, there are pieces that friends of mine and I, like for instance, you know, we'll ask ourselves, did this piece exist? Did this piece ever sell? And you'll see, like, you know, 10 years ago it sold for 30K, and it's like, oh my gosh, you know, if this thing came to market today, it'd be 500,000. You know, you get to have these sort of like these fun discussions about how fast this market has moved, and you get to see that historical data, and you can only see it if you log in. Like, you can search any item and see that it had previously sold or when it's coming up, but you have to sign in to see the price, and signing in is free. So just for that information alone, because knowledge is power, knowledge could also be profit, it's very much worth doing. But then also, like, some of the things, and yeah, I mean, some of the things that I've sold for the greatest profits, I actually did pick up on Heritage, but I wouldn't have known about them if I wasn't looking through a bunch of random auctions, and there was like items that were just placed where the crowd for that particular auction, that sort of event, might not have been so fascinated in that item, but I looked at it as an arbitrage and knew that there was an audience that I communicate with that might like it, or I can hold it for a while. I mean, without getting specific about the item, Swag, there was one day where you were watching an auction, you were bidding on some things, and the last item in the auction, you called me up and you were like, bro, isn't this your kind of thing? And I got so excited, and I'm so grateful that you showed that to me. And I did win that auction, and I won it for about a seven, how do you say it, a fraction of what I sold it for, but I sold it for 6 or 7 times what I purchased it for. And I couldn't believe it. But that opportunity wouldn't have existed if you weren't on Heritage looking, if I didn't already have a Heritage account set up, or and if I wasn't able to, you know, bid and pay with the payment information and stuff like that there. So I've had some great purchases on Heritage. Then I've picked up some things that are just like very much PC, that are super, you know, I can't sell yet because I just recently bought them and they're very expensive and I have to wait a long time for them to appreciate, but I enjoy having them. But they came to market on Heritage. And there are things that I can't afford, but I still enjoy looking at. But the price history stuff is good fun. And just having that account to be prepared for like a moment like when you hit me up and say, hey, isn't this your kind of thing? You just got to have an account. It's a no-brainer. It costs nothing. And if you do buy something, you get $50. I think that's terrific. Sign up.
Definitely sign up, guys. We're going to give a shout out to Heritage Auction for being a sponsor of the Ungraded Truth tonight. Link in the description. Go check them out. Go make an account. You know, if you buy something, you save $50. You get a $100 book, you get it for half price. I mean, that's a pretty great deal. You know, now that we're back in this crazy MCU, comics are back, speculation, brand new day Spider-Man market, I mean, you might be able to turn a nice little profit like Manu did for that one. And like we already discussed, you know, again, it's a really great resource to be able to look at old prices, or to be able to look up comps, which, you know, you could be that person that goes up to the National and says, hey, bro, your Honus Wagner did not sell for your sticker price. Check out what it sold for on Heritage Auctions. That could be you. So big shout out to Heritage Auctions. Check out the link in the description if you guys would like the opportunity to save $50. We definitely appreciate them.
I will add really quickly, there are a lot of trading cards on there as well. Like we focus on the comic books, but there are, especially vintage, and there's a lot of high-end TCG that moves through there.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it's a weekly auction, but it's a near weekly, I think they have with trading cards. They have regular art auctions. And then also, yeah, like Mickey said, if you want dinosaur bones or gems and that kind of stuff, they have all that stuff too. But yeah, my focus tends to be the stuff I've bid on there. It's art, comics. I've bid on some video games and then some cards.
That's actually what I wanted to just say, you know, while we're still on the Heritage topic, is they just launched their video game signature auction or something like that. And we've recently been talking about physical media and video games. Yeah, so there's some fun stuff there. So I thought that's worth taking a look at. And I'm bidding on a few of those.
A nice little tease for later on in the show, because we will be revisiting the Heritage Auctions page to talk about some of those video games. But before we get there, we got to go from one show to another, which a week ago, it was San Diego Comic-Con. I was actually in attendance. The show was incredible. The vibes were on, or the vibes were back, I guess. And there was a lot of huge stories that came out of San Diego. I mean, we can definitely go through them, you know, one by one. But the one I want to start with the most, as it pertains to kind of the collecting market, is, of course, the announcements that pertain to Ryan Gosling and the MCU, where at the Hall H panel on Saturday, Kevin Feige announced that Ryan Gosling is going to be playing Ghost Rider in an upcoming movie. This was met with a ton of exuberance, a lot of aftermarket sales. We have honestly not seen that many buy it nows on eBays and Elite Comics 11s and all these websites for a book of that caliber in a really long time. And one of the sales was actually from a post that I actually made right here, which was this Marvel Spotlight 5 in a 9.4 that off eBay after this announcement was sold for $16,500. And I compared it to, where this thing was selling at auction on Heritage a year prior, which was $10,200. So as you guys can see, in 1 year, 62% increase. This is also met with the fact that, the Ghost Rider Volume 2 from 1990, the Danny Ketch first appearance, is now double, triple in price pretty much. So it's kind of crazy to see that. But guys, let me kind of just start there with the initial thoughts about, the Hall H, the Ghost Rider. What do you guys think about that? Ryan, I'm looking at you with this one. Are comics back?
I mean, at least Ghost Rider comics are back. I think we don't know officially what version he's playing. Right? I've heard people saying Johnny Blaze, but I don't think there's been any official announcement on which character he's actually going to be playing in the movie. But yeah, I thought it was when you went to eBay and you looked at sold listings for both Marvel Spotlight 5 and that Ghost Rider 1, Marvel Spotlight 5 for a book that expensive, it was impressive to see. I think it was probably 10 to 15 sales in almost like one day. The Ghost Rider, I think there was
even more. I might have even counted like 25 to 30.
Yeah. So I was looking across multiple days. So,
yeah.
But then, like the 25th, I think is when they made the announcement. It was just like this big chunk right then. And then the Ghost Rider ones, I had to scroll for a long ways before you got down to the bottom of those sales. That book was getting bought up like crazy. So yeah, it's always fun when you have some excitement back in the hobby, when instead of people just kind of blowing off whatever announcements happen. And so I'm looking forward to that, but really they need to perform at the theater. It's got to be good properties, because we know what happens when the stuff just isn't all that good, and that just you lose a lot of interest. And we haven't had a lot of great movies from Marvel for a while. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. I think we all have very high expectations for Doomsday, which is tough. When you have high expectations for something, it can be really tough to meet them. But I think we're all hoping that it's going to turn out well. I mean, I know we're going to get into it later, but I loved Spider-Man. So that was a nice start for this year for Marvel, even though it's Sony.
Yeah.
I get it.
It's Marvel. I mean, that movie is definitely going to make $1 billion. We're going to talk about that in a second. But Manu,
it's already made $1 billion,
didn't it? I saw something somewhere of that sort.
Yeah. No, it's literally going to be the highest grossing movie probably ever. I think it's going to beat Avengers Endgame. It already beat Avengers Endgame in this weekend, the first weekend opening. So it's pretty wild. But relating it back to this, Manu, you've been saying, on a bunch of previous episodes that you were like, comics can totally get back. They can totally have a resurgence. Even though we make the joke of comics could never, you're the one person that has been not cynical about it, thinking that it's possible.
I believe.
I think that the Ghost Rider thing is like really a kind of a crazy testament. I mean, I know it's FOMO and all this stuff, but I don't know, Marvel Spotlight 5, a book that price, we haven't seen that in a long time.
You said it too. Yeah. You're like, we haven't seen this kind of motion in a long time. I just think it's cool. And I believe, I mean, yeah, man, there's always, there are the rules, right? Sometimes you can break them, but if something's spiking, then maybe wait for the pullback, right? Maybe the pullback puts it higher than it was prior, but you get it for a little less than in the heat of the enthusiasm. But at the same time, I do talk to a lot of people that are like, hey, it's fine if it ends up a little cheaper later. They kind of just want to strike while the iron's hot because it's exciting for them. It's fun for them. And then when we talk about that secondary book, like the less expensive one, the one that went from, $150 to $350, to a lot of people, that's just a fun purchase. They're not even necessarily looking at it like an investment. Is their $350 going to turn into $550 and then they're going to flip it? It's just got their attention and they're like, dude, I've always been meaning to get this book and now it's front of mind. And they're like, I'm going to grab it. It's cool. It's dope. Some people are going for the newsstand, like you mentioned, so on and so forth, right? So it's just that excitement again. It's that fervor. Now, should you be cautious? Of course, but you should always be cautious, right? But I think there's just people more willing to have a little bit of fun. I think the excitement in the other collectible markets is also creating a bit of confidence and a bit of a willingness to participate more than in years past. It all affects it. All of collecting right now has a different energy in it. And why wouldn't some of that trickle into comic books? I believe it has. I believe it will continue to. Is it going to move as fast as TCG? But obviously, I don't think so. But is it going to move? I do think so. And I'm really excited about getting to a place where it is, and this is what I'm hoping for, not just the headlines moving, very specific titles, and then we start seeing those sales. I kind of, listen, the pandemic was the pandemic, and there was all kinds of anomaly events, and there was all kinds of excitement, all kinds of reasons why people were comfortable to just spend hundreds of dollars on nostalgia and stuff. But I hope something similar to that happens, right? Where it's not just the key books, it's not just the books that are being talked about for a specific reason, but I haven't yet seen people just getting back to buying what they think is cool and passionately sharing that. On a small scale, yes, but not on that scale that it was during the pandemic, where it didn't matter what it was. If you thought it was cool, there was an audience of thousands of people that thought your post was cool as well. They haven't shown back up yet. I'm waiting for that. I think it can happen. I hope that happens.
Wow. That's a really good point. Before, during the pandemic, I could make a video that would be like, hey, here's like 5 cool specky sleeper books that I think are just really cool, and people would love it. They'd love to watch that stuff. If I made that now, you'd be met with like so much cynicism, right? It'd be like, what are you doing? All this type of thing. But if we ever get to a point where someone like me can make that video, or Ryan, you can make that video, or I don't know, Rob, in sports cards, they probably still.
We're just gonna have to randomly try it, just like make those and see what the reaction is.
Maybe I have to try it. 5 underrated Ghost Rider comics. What would be the reaction to that?
Midnight Suns.
If we get back to that, then dude, we're on.
There were things that were going up in value because they were fucking cool, not because of like a specific significance or something motivating the action. It was just like, oh shit, I remember this cover, and instead of it being a $99 9/8 like it is right now, it was a $375 9/8 just because it was fucking cool. I hope that happens. Like stuff like that, like Web of Spider-Man #1, the Charles Vest cover, an amazing cover. If you like Black Suit Spider-Man, you should own that, right? And it's so affordable right now. It's a third of the price that it was during the pandemic. I want to see it go back to the pandemic prices.
Yeah. Speaking of something kind of cool, shout out to Key Collector, but maybe we can do a little bit of that kind of speculation market right now, because I didn't know this, but Key Collector, in the wake of this Ghost Rider Volume 2 stuff, made a post that said, hey, the Marvel Age 87 actually predates that 1990 Ghost Rider with Danny Ketch. And this has a 5-page preview of that character. And I had to hop on over to eBay, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, like this book is getting picked up and slept on. I don't know if there's a newsstand for this thing, but wait. So let's have the interesting conversation, because now we're allowed to talk about spec books that are cool again.
This is awesome.
Is Marvel Age the one that also had the Darkhawk? The Darkhawk preview? Okay.
Right. And Marvel Age 90 is anyway.
So let's have that conversation. Like, what do you guys think about the Marvel Ages, or these types of like preview appearances? Like, do you want to go out on the limb and say this is the one that you should get? Like, this is the cooler first appearance to own? Like, what do you guys think about this stuff?
I'm going to just have a second on this. I didn't know the key significance of that book, but this is perfect. You're so great at segues and tying things in, because during the pandemic, this is one of my favorite books to buy and sell because it was so cool. That cover is undeniably awesome. I didn't know the key significance, and there is a newsstand, and it's incredibly difficult to get that book in a 9.8 newsstand. And for a long time, there's been a 9.8 newsstand on eBay. I forgot if it's $1,800 or $1,700 or $2,800. Whatever it is, it's there, it's scarce, and no one for the past year has seen a reason to buy it. Did that book sell? Is the 9.8 newsstand still available? Is that going to move now as a combination of factors? But I love that there's attention now on that cover. Again, I didn't know the key significance, but the undeniability of how awesome that cover is the reason why it was selling during the pandemic, because it was great looking and it was tough to grade. And those two elements were enough for collectors to get excited. And so I love that there's attention back on that book. I didn't even know that was happening. I have a ton of them, not 9.8 candidates, but I have them because I used to buy them aggressively. So that's cool.
So what I'm hearing is that this was all just a ploy to get you to flip your books for more money.
Let's go. I'm listing them all. Let's do it. Dang. Oh man, damn. Now I wish I went a little harder on attaining a 9.8 newsstand, but they're just so expensive when they pop up.
What do you think about that, Ryan, in terms of the first appearance controversies of like these preview books versus like, say, Ghost Rider Volume 2, number 1?
I mean, I didn't even know about that book. So to me, I generally go towards the one that is more well known. So I would go more towards the Ghost Rider 1, but that's my take on it. But if you had it, if you had a bunch of them already, I mean, hell, like you're doing fine. Now, would I rush out and buy it? I don't know, probably not. But yeah, if you've already got one, or if you can go and find one, digging through some like back issue boxes, like that might be the place to look. Like that would be, I think, maybe the thing
and
to take away from the key collector notification is try to find that in back issue bins.
Yeah, and you definitely can. And sorry, Swag, I forgot to answer your question. What do I think about a preview appearance versus like the actual comic book? I'm a believer of the preview appearances. That's why I like things like Malibu Sun 13 for Spawn, or Malibu Sun number 8 for Evil Ernie, or any of the other books that has a spread in the middle that talks about a character. If it happened before the release, I like it. It's part of the reason why we like the ash cans that we recently talked about for Absolute Batman. It's not cover A of issue 1, but it is the cover of cover A. It is the first time you're seeing the character. Are we blind? Are we ignoring the fact that it is literally the first time? Those things, to me, I don't ignore. I think they're cool. Is it a smaller market, a more niche market? Fewer people believe in that? Sure, but you don't need the whole world to believe in something for it to be awesome or investable. I am a believer of like preview first appearances. They don't have to be more expensive than the one that's commercially more recognizable, but that doesn't mean they don't have significance or value. They oftentimes do become valuable, and they are worth having or pursuing, regardless of what your motivation might be.
Well, and I feel like that's where you live a lot of the time, is that you're in an area where you're looking for things that maybe the average person isn't going to recognize. And then you try to find that so that you can get it at that discounted price, but then knowing the market and being able to move it at a higher price and what that actual market is. And so that's what I'm saying. Like if you can find it, like digging through bins and that kind of thing, like that could be a way to go.
Yes.
But
yeah. Well,
and there was a comment in the chat about the Absolute Batman ash can. And the only difference I feel with that one is that and I think we talked about this in that last show, was that it has the cover from cover A, which is a different, that's the recognizable image for Absolute Batman, which is a big difference to me for that one.
It's also to put a double point on that, Ryan. Like it's that book is popular in and of itself. This is still chasing the tail of a movie hype thing, versus like Absolute Batman is popular. Mm-hmm. I did search on eBay, and there is 198 newsstand currently listed at $23.50. This would be the book that I'm going to actually add this to my watch list right here. If this thing sells, like if it actually comes out that, hey guys, Ryan Gosling is actually playing Danny Ketch, and then we see a sale out of this, that would be really cool to see. I would love to see.
And just a reminder to people, if you are buying since that's a My Comic Shop list,
Go right over there.
Go to My Comic Shop and you will save some money because they increase the price when it's on eBay.
And someone in the someone in the chat actually said that. Who was it? It was anyway. Okay. Shout out to whoever said. Oh, right here. Brett Green says Marvel Age 87 newsstand 98 white pages 1975 or best offer on MCS on My Comic Shop.
There you go.
So not only is it 10% cheaper or whatever, you can also make an offer there. Go get aggressive. See if this guy sells it to you. I mean, if you want it, it's not mine. You know, yeah.
I had to quickly go over to GPA.
You're like, see if this guy sells.
I was going to say, is one sold?
Yeah. I had to quickly go over to GPA and see if a 9.8 newsstand has ever sold. I guess one hasn't. Manu, like, I mean,
dude, that might be the only 9.8 newsstand. I've never been able to grade a newsstand of that book, so I've never seen one other than that one from my memory. Maybe I saw one during the.
I was just gonna say, how many 9.8s are even on the pop report?
There can't actually be that many for this for multiple reasons. One, it's not the most commercially recognizable book, so it's not graded that often. So the 9.8 population.
You can just click on the link to CGC. So no, go open up the 9.8 and then go down to the.
Just click on the cert number.
Yeah, click on the cert number.
I have at least 10 newsstands
over on the right-hand side
of this book sitting not too far from me. And they're not 9.8 candidates. You know, they're the highest grade copies I was able to find, but they are not 9.8s. It's very difficult.
Well, let's talk about this. So there's 8 9.8s. Now, granted, this is a book that probably has not been sent in that much, right?
Like we just said, it doesn't have the commercial recognizability.
This is West Coast Avengers 45.
but hold on. But here's the thing.
That might be the only 9.8 newsstand, bro.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Do you think they even break it out on the census?
They don't break it out for this. They don't break it out.
Okay.
They don't, but there can't. I mean, an all black cover like that is not the easiest 9.8 in the world to begin with. It's not a stretch to say that that's the only one. At the very most, there might be 2, but I don't remember there being one. I just remember how difficult it was. I was able to sell good-looking copies raw for a decent amount of money just because people couldn't find 9.8s of them. And so that's a sick book. Now, during the pandemic, I'll tell you right now, during the pandemic, on his other monitor.
During the pandemic,
somebody right now after our show is going to buy this.
No. I want a grade one, but during the pandemic, I could have sold this for $2,500 in a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye. It wouldn't. But that's the pandemic. It's different. So I would be very curious to see. I think it makes sense for someone to go make $1,000 offer and get a counter and see how low they can get it for. No one's going to sell this book to you for $500-600. This is going to be more than double the price of the 9.8 direct because it's exponentially more difficult to get, and so that should factor into the price. But I think at $1,000, it's a no-brainer, and you can enjoy having it. It's awesome, but how close to $2,000 does it sell for? I don't know. I don't want to inspire anyone to spend their money. It's risky still, but what an awesome book.
Okay, let's play a little game. All right, let's say that Ryan Gosling is announced. Oh, he's Danny Ketch. Would you rather have this book right here, or I guess an equivalent Marvel Spotlight 5 would be maybe a 7.0, I guess is maybe where the prices are right now? Which one would you rather have?
Well, like if he's announced as Danny Ketch, though, like the Marvel Spotlight 5 becomes maybe, I don't know. You wonder, like, would it still hold on? It probably would. It's because it's still like the book for Ghost Rider.
And let's be honest, we're going to get Nick Cage like resurfacing in like a, Secret Wars or something like that. And they're going to fight side by side. Like that's totally going to happen, right?
That could happen. That would be pretty sweet. If he at least has like a little cameo in there. I'm all for that.
They got to be setting that up. But yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. Pretty fun.
That's awesome, bro.
To go back into spec mode, guys. Like maybe spec mode is absolutely back. Because continuing on this theme, I mean, I don't know if you guys caught this news announcement, but X-Men from Deadline, Samara Weaving, this actress, lands the role to be playing Emma Frost in the upcoming X-Men movie. This actress has been in a bunch of different, movies and things like that. So kind of crazy that we're getting an official casting. And similarly to the point of our conversation of comic books being back, I mean, I did go over to eBay and X-Men 129. I mean, granted, this is a book that always sells. It's always popular. But after this announcement, it got a spike in terms of like buy it nows, people grabbing it, including this 9.8, which was a slash price, ended up selling for $1,550, but that $1,550 number is above the 90-day, above the 12-month, above the 2025 average. I mean, you got to go all the way back to 2024. It's lower than that, but I don't know, guys. Spec comics are back. Are comics back? Can we just say they are? Can we?
Yeah, they're back. Let's will it. Let's say it is.
I think
let's manifest
X-Men could be interesting because it's something where we're finally getting something completely new, where you're not really beholden to what everybody remembers with Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth and all of that, where you've got these characters that have been built up over a decade that everyone is very, very stuck on. So I think X-Men could be a big deal, but man, they can't do another friggin' Phoenix movie, something like that. Oh my God. If they do Phoenix again, I'm gonna cry.
Why? It would be the first time we actually got it done right.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it's just like we've seen it so many times, but I'm always a little nervous now because it seems so dependent on having the right director and, the right writers and everything that, man, you can get some bad stuff out there pretty easily. So,
yeah. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful with Doomsday. I trust the Russo brothers, and more importantly, I trust McFeely, who's the screenwriter. That's
why I do have very high expectations for Doomsday. They've got the right people that have proven themselves. When you have people that have proven themselves, I don't really have a lot of concern going in. But I don't know who's. Have they even announced an X-Men movie yet?
They did. They announced the X-Men movie. They know that it's coming, and the director who is attached to the X-Men movie right now is the guy who did Thunderbolts. Now that might cause alarm bells, but I personally thought the Thunderbolts movie
I enjoyed
actually I thought it was executed very well. I think people unfairly critique that movie, but because they just don't really love those characters, but I thought that it was actually well done.
I mean, the problem with Thunderbolts was it was like 5 Captain Americas. I mean, that was the main flaw with that movie. But the movie itself was very entertaining. Lots of great action. It's funny. All of that.
Yeah. Well,
I'm curious. So, speaking of Hall H stuff, maybe I'll touch on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. FF52 basically saw no love, right?
Right. So yeah, FF52. Yeah, there was an announcement for the new Black Panther. I forget the actor's name. Forgive me, but that book did not have the same market movement at all. I mean, maybe almost none.
What character is he playing though? Is it the character that was the new one that just came out 5 years ago or 4 years?
So I don't know if that's.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe there's a technicality that he's like the next T'Challa in line. So maybe there was a spec book related to that maybe got some movement, but I didn't actually look it up.
Yeah, I didn't look into that one either. But yeah, I mean, did we see a lot of movement though with like FF5? I don't feel like we did. I don't remember really seeing much. And now that is even more extreme example of Marvel Spotlight 5. So it would be tough to really have a lot of movement there, but I don't remember seeing a lot of movement with Doom.
Well, same with I was just glancing at AF-15 while you guys were chatting to see if because everyone loves Spider-Man, but that book hasn't. It's been trending upwards generally the last couple of months, but it's not like people are going to go bin crazy on AF-15, so it's kind of hard to tell on stuff like that.
That's because all of the Spider-Man money is going into Card 34, which we are still about to talk about very, very soon.
Yeah, another one just sold too. Something, yeah.
Yeah, we are gonna actually talk a little bit about Spider-Man later on in the show. Maybe we can give our thoughts on the movie. Like we already said, it's going to make $1 billion. But I still do feel like we need to kind of address some other San Diego Comic-Con topics. And if you guys have questions for me, just in terms of like a sentiment towards how the show was, let me know. But I feel like we got to cover this topic because we are the double shills. We are the most important influencers when it comes to manga. And we are so excited to announce that CGC has officially jumped into the graded manga space. This was their official kind of, I guess, big announcement, big reveal that they had at their booth, that they are now going to be doing graded manga. I actually was able to talk to Amber right here, who is their coordinator, social media for some of their departments. And this video right here kind of shows off that new case where they're going to be doing the Tonka bonds, which are basically the trade paperbacks. And then they have a case that I actually spoke to Matt Nelson about this one. They're still tweaking this one. I think in terms of like when this is going to be ready to go, the smaller version is going to be already up and running. But you know, I did talk to Matt quite a bit about this, and he kind of gave me his thoughts and everything about it. But I don't know, guys. Graded manga coming to CGC. Do you think that this has a chance to grow? Do you feel like Beckett being first to market has already established itself? Like, is CGC going to have that hard time, you know, making this a big vertical? Is there even room for this to be a vertical? What do you guys think about CGC and graded manga?
I think there's definitely room for them. I do think that they are quite a bit behind with respect to Beckett, especially with Beckett being under collectors now, you know, like PSA. It's because that's a lot of backing that they have. And what generally everybody has seen so far, right, is outside of raw copies, they've seen them in those Beckett holders. So that's what people are very familiar with. So they're going to need to have probably a pretty strong advertising push to really get that out there. The cases, I think those look very similar to their VHS cases, and the style where the it's kind of like set back. I'm not a huge fan of that style, but we'll see how it goes.
They're actually kind of cool. Do you have a VHS case? Like, have you?
No, just from seeing them.
I've only had 2 so far now, but like I kind of dig them, bro. They're like, but you can't. There's no bag for it, you know, because the bag on that little inset, you know, how do you bag it properly? So there's no smooth covering for it, but they're decent. They're pretty cool.
Can you grab it? Let's do a little show and tell for anyone who's actually watching here. Sure. And just to put a point of emphasis, the Beckett manga slabs are a full rectangle, right? Like they just house the entire thing. Yeah. This has that little lip at the top where the label
exactly right
goes.
So that's where the label is, and you know it's inset like that, like Ryan was describing. So you kind of grab it like this, and this has a VHS in it, but manga is heavy as well. See, I said manga even though I'm talking about more than one of them. But it's got a nice solid feel. There's only one area where the case ends up looking, this is just being critical, ends up looking a little rinky dink. Only one area. It feels good. I don't have complaints. Could it be more secure? Sure. The inner well, though, is really snug to the item, holds it beautifully, and not bad. The only part I don't like is where it seals. It gets that jagged, sort of cheap, rough, plasticky thing. Like I think where something has to snap off during the molding process of how the plastic's manufactured. I'm not sure. But when you, that's probably not showing up too clear. But that's the only part that looks cheap, but it's a very small thing. It's maybe an inch long, but all in all, it feels good. I like it. But that Becca manga slab, which I've never held, looks really nice anytime I've seen it. So, you know, there will be a battle of the slabs, but I don't mind the sort of way that it's shaped. But yeah, in terms of putting it in a bag, there is no bag that fits it like a glove, because you will have this sort of slanted area here where you have to do something with the excess material. But I got no problems with the case if this is what they're going with manga.
Rob, what do you think about CGC coming into manga here? And I guess maybe you can talk on it from like a grading company trying to establish itself in a space where another grading company seemingly has that first to market advantage. How do you feel their chances are?
You could kind of flip the script on it's basically like PSA coming in the comic books. Maybe it's a little different just because CGC has more name value in the, you know, grading stacks of paper and putting them inside a case side of it. But I do think it'll be tough to crack into that. I'm curious to see.
I mean, Beckett isn't nearly as established though. I mean, they're much smaller numbers in terms of total books.
But in manga they are, and they're still a well-known brand property in collectible space in general. I'm kind of curious to see what the future will hold for that, like what Collectors Universe ends up doing with manga and Beckett and how they want to treat that in the long term, because I feel like it kind of caught them out of nowhere. Like this kind of hit right at the same time that they acquired Beckett, and we know what they did with CBCS, so it's just kind of curious to see, like, I would love to know like their thoughts on it, because it did kind of hit like I doubt
like,
when
you think they're going to try to
Beckett,
put it under the PSA name.
I don't know. I just, when they acquired Beckett, I can't imagine that they were like, oh yeah, that manga thing is going to be huge for us, and now all of a sudden it's kind of huge for them. So I wonder if they're kind of like, oh man, we need to like hire people for this, because I'm sure they're backlogged. I don't know what the turnaround times are for grading manga, but I'm sure it's not fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of volume they're seeing through their doors, but I have to imagine that it's definitely one of the best assets right now for Beckett.
Sure.
I don't know if it's actually something that they're generating a lot of revenue with, but I'm sure they saw that spike after, we had all those conversations about the graded manga and the explosion of prices and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm sure there was an influx of inventory that they got, which, funny enough, as CGC comes into the space, I sort of wonder if has everyone kind of shot their shot? Like anyone who wanted to really grade something in the wake of like the excitement of manga, already sent it into Beckett. So now it's sort of like who's sitting on stuff that's like, oh, I can't wait to send my thing into CGC. I don't know if there's an audience there.
I think the other thing that'll be interesting. Sorry, I think the other thing that'll be interesting is how they're graded, because we don't really this is one of those areas where comics had a very established grading kind of structure that even though you could have a little difference between them, people know. Cards have a, pretty established grading structure, but manga, it was really just Beckett grading them. And so is CGC, are they going to grade it the same way that Beckett does? Are they going to do their own thing? I mean, we have no idea. And so it could be interesting to see how maybe crossovers end up working. If they end up getting similar grades or they get very different grades going between the companies.
Absolutely. I will add, I was at San Diego. I was able to speak with Matt Nelson and talk to him about it. The one thing that I think is really, really good is that, he was saying they're coming out, they're excited about this opportunity. They are hopeful that it can be a huge vertical for them, but they are also, tempered in their expectations of maybe this is just going to be a thing that's kind of a service, and people are just going to use it for those who use it, kind of like graded VHS. I mean, I'm not sure that graded VHS is the thing that they think is going to be the big money maker, but it's sort of well, we're a grading company. We got to grade things. So we just had to open up this arm no matter what. But what he did say to me as well is they're looking for the right partnerships. They're trying to really understand the culture. They know that there's an allergy to, graded collectibles, especially in Japan, especially, with the, manga collectors. And so for them, they're thinking, okay, well, who are the right people that we need to talk to? How do we roll this out to where it's a value add to the people that are interested in this? And who are the right people that we need to partner with? I'll be a little obtuse and I'll talk around it. I'll just put it like this, he did say to me that he's I know, Swag, you have a lot of friends of the Ungraded Truth, and we were thinking of doing some stuff with friends of the Ungraded Truth, but then some people in the building were like, oh, I don't know if you should be talking to those friends, so that's their approach, or that's their mindset of how they want to approach their manga. And so maybe if that's their thought, that'll be good for them. I don't know, maybe that's the wrong way to go.
I mean, to me, I think the biggest thing is that VHS, I don't really expect to explode. Pulps, I don't expect to explode, that kind of thing. But the markets that have potential in the future, like graded video games, like graded manga, you want to at least have a foothold in there so that if that does take off, if there is this massive increase in interest, that you actually have something that can handle it instead of having to wait multiple years to build that out. So I think that's probably the most important reason to have it, is just so that you're prepared. Because I mean, it is taking off some now, but we still don't know really what the market is for it in terms of people buying it outside of Logan Paul and,
Chat wants to know, why does Ryan hate VHS?
Is Chris in the chat or something?
No, that's me asking. I just said,
you forget to rewind your videos before you took them back to the store or something. I grew up with VHS, but for whatever reason, VHS has just
collecting sealed VHS has never appealed to me. Sealed video games does. I mean, I also grew up with video games. I think sealed video games are very cool, but VHS it never just was something that I felt like, this is a thing I want to collect and have on the wall or whatever else.
I see another bet coming.
VHS is meant to be watched. It's meant to be rewound.
Yeah, exactly. It's meant to be rewound. I love that.
Whoever the people are that have the VHS podcast are going to clip that out. They're going to come at you.
Oh yeah. Listen. The ungraded truth. We rub what is it called? Ruffle feathers occasionally with our takes. To everybody out there.
Just real quick, and we'll move on. But on this VHS, real quick, fun thing. I've never had a graded open VHS. I've only just had 2 sealed ones recently. But I didn't know this, and people that deal in this probably knew this already. When you have an open one, like a complete in box, and maybe video games are done the same way. I still don't have a graded video game. They grade the box and they grade the tape itself, and then you get an average of the 2 grades or something. I didn't know that. So like when you look at the label,
I definitely don't know the in and outs of grading.
Yeah, but I thought that was interesting because so that's cool. They grade the VHS itself within the box, and they grade the box for an open one. And then I guess
that's also true of video games. It's also how they do video games.
So there
as well.
You go. I thought that's pretty interesting. A little nuance there.
I mean, just like a comic book, you grade it on the inside and the outside. It's just not 2 separate grades.
Exactly. Unless it's a double cover. On a double cover, you get graded on the multiple covers, and the highest of the 2, I think, is what gets represented in the large number on the corner. I think.
Unless there's something else holding it back, like brittle pages or whatever.
There you go. Okay. I see.
But also, let's be honest, that when they grade modern comic books, they ain't counting those pages. They ain't looking at those pages, man. Come on,
all those 181s
man.
that got cracked out that didn't have a value stamp, and someone got screwed later going for a bump. Come on.
You think they're counting absolute Batman 1 pages?
Oh, and moderns? Oh, no. Of course not. They're not even opening the thing. They're grading it in 30 seconds. Get out of here.
Exactly, well, especially not the ones that are going straight in. I think they're just. I mean, we saw that one grading example video where they're just kind of like stacked up next to each other to compare flaws. That kind of stuff.
Bro, as my friend always says to me, the graders over there, they just want to go to lunch. I mean, when they get like a fat stack in front of them of like the same modern random whatever like weekly Spider-Man book, you think they're flipping through all those pages, man? Come on, I wouldn't do it. I forgive them for not flipping through them. Yeah. Now, a couple of other little things. Derek teed me up with this one here. He said, okay, enough about collectibles. What's the latest on Slider Gates? Now, if you guys happen to watch some of my videos at San Diego Comic-Con, the most important things I reported on was the slider quality of the parties that I went to. Now, I went to a PSA party on Thursday. Had a lot of fun, lots of great people, free drinks. They were trying to buy my curry favor with the ungraded truth. They were like, hey, we got to get swag over to the PSA party. He can be bought with sliders. And I went to his show, or I went to the party, and it was really tasty. Okay, they had charcuterie boards. The sliders were plentiful. It was all good. And then the next day, CGC had a party. And, like a double agent, I decided to also go over there and see, which grading company I want to shill for most. And it came down to how the sliders were going to taste. And like I said in my video, it's not the quality of the sliders that was the issue at the CGC party. It was the abundance of them. Because when I showed up, there was only like a small little plate left of sliders. And I was like one person in line of many. And so I was like, well, I can't be an asshole. I can only take 2. Like if I take 3, that would be really, really rude. But everybody knows the slider rules. You got to eat 3. Like who can be satisfied eating 2 sliders? And so ultimately, PSA has better sliders. And now I'm going to send all my graded books to PSA. So
we are now sponsored by PSA.
We are now sponsored.
So what happens? Do you think like the CGC's having meetings with New York Comic Con a couple months away, like trying to step their game up?
I think that they absolutely should, because I think that they're thinking to themselves, we got to get swag back on our side here.
Now, what if like,
is there any other food that you rate them on, or is it just like, do you have like chicken fingers or French fries?
I think sliders are the easiest because everybody has them at those parties.
Everybody has them, but here's the thing. Like, I mean, they won't even want to open up that can of worms because the food was better at the PSA party, top to bottom. It just, listen, trading cards makes more money. I think that, they got the trading card budget for their PSA party.
Did you see the line? Did you see the line at the national?
Look, they're not even doing value tier anymore. You guys want to wonder where your money is going for high value? It's going to pay for my slider.
It's the Kobe. It's the Kobe beef in the slider.
Oh my god.
I am curious, since we're talking about San Diego Comic-Con and CGC, do they do on-site grading at San Diego Comic-Con or no?
So no, they do not do on-site grading at San Diego Comic-Con, and I don't think they typically do. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that
probably
maybe
East Coast, West Coast.
Yeah, I think maybe it's equipment. Yeah,
because they do it at Heroes Con, so it's not like, and it's probably also space. It's probably hard to get space.
Yeah. Yeah. And something that was very cool about CGC, which I think was different this year, was, they had their regular booth, which was, set up for people to do submissions and that sort of thing. But then they had a booth that actually Sean and Matt were working out of. And it was just like a council booth where you could just come up to them and ask questions. And people were just, showing them their books. And Matt was essentially giving people free grading, telling them what it was, which I thought was actually really, really cool. And
did you take them all your 9.8s and ask why they're not 9.9s?
That I essentially did something similar, because after I complained to Matt about his sliders, he was able to redeem himself after he counseled me on the newest, hottest collectible, guys. Arcade Flyers are officially getting
quadruple
graded
shill
by CGC. I tried to warn you guys. I tried to tell you that this could be the next new collectible. Obviously, this is going to be a bigger vertical than manga. But at San Diego, I approached Matt and I said, Matt, I got something I want to talk to you about. And I introduced him to Arcade Flyers and explained to him the significance of this Donkey Kong thing. And I just wanted to know, is this something that you guys could grade? Because I had called customer service.
How thick are those? How many pages are those?
They're not a page. It's literally think of it like a poster.
Yeah.
A poster.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's just front and back. It's a little stiffer than a poster, but I asked him about this, and I told him what it was, and I spoke to the customer service, and they were like, no, we don't really know, because I don't think we really did it, but they do lobby cards, so I figured it would be the same thing. But either way, he looked at it and he's like, oh, this is really cool. This is a magazine size. We could totally fit that in a magazine holder. So he's like, submit it to the booth. Put a note on it that it's something that they have to look at specifically, and we'll take a look, and we probably would be able to grade it.
So did you submit them?
Oh, I submitted them.
Oh,
yeah.
72 of them. 72 of them.
Now, 1,000 copies. Now, but here's the thing. I don't think that they're actually going to grade them. I think they're just going to label it AU, because it's just authentic is essentially what they're going to be able to say with it,
which is pretty cool though, and hopefully a note identifying the significance of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that they're very cool. And you guys, I'm being tongue-in-cheek about this, but have I awoken a sleeping giant? Because when I go to eBay, I now look at the prices for these things, and look at this, all of a $750 ask. What is this?
It's because you already got all yours,
I know, but this
Wait,
guy
that says
Fungus
listed by Swaggelhaus. What is this?
Yeah, Fungus.
Wait, and he was bidding on it too. Wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Don't look at my bid history. Don't look at my bid history. But I think I've probably made this user probably $2,000. I don't know, in the last couple days here. Look at this: 540, 500, 450, 250, 250. These are for the non.
And by user, he means
so. Fungus Among Us is the next sponsor for the Ungraded Truth.
He better be. Send us a super chat. Okay, guys. In all
Swaggelhaus, can we see all your eBay logins when you go to save logins and see if that name matches up with any of them?
Okay. We can absolutely not see my eBay logins, because I don't want you guys to know how much Arcade Flyer I have been moving out there.
Right.
No, in all seriousness, thank you guys for letting me have the platform. I had to go on my little thing. Listen,
dude, that's awesome.
I would not pay $500 for an Arcade Flyer. I have no idea how many of them exist in the world. It could be thousands or millions of copies. I have no clue. So be careful if you're actually think that what I'm talking about is cool. Be careful. That's all I got to say about that.
I can't wait to see them come back encapsulated, and I want to see what they write on the label.
And then they're gonna be up on the eBay page.
That's right.
Yeah.
Fungus Molungus, remember.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're not interested in getting Arcade Flyers, if you're somebody who's out there interested in picking up, comic books, well, we got to give another shout out to one of our other sponsors of the show right now, which is, of course, Elite Comics 11. Guys, if you don't know about Elite Comics 11, they're the #1 community-powered comic sales page on social media. We've talked about Elite before. They're such a great site. They have incredible books that they offer up every single day. They're friends of the channel here at The Ungraded Truth. And we just got to say that, you got to make sure that you hop on over to the link in the description and follow Elite Comics 11. They're always having live streams. They're always listing comic books. And later on this year, November 7th through 8th, they're going to be having the Elite Comics 11 Expo in Los Angeles. I'm going to be there. Manu's going to be there. Rob and Ryan are also going to be there. Maybe
we're bringing them, we're dragging them, we're getting them there some way, somehow.
But the Ungraded Truth will be in attendance. If you guys are in the Southern California area, be sure, or hell, you don't even have to be in the Southern California area. You could be all the way across the world. If you would like to hang out with Manu and I and talk more about arcade flyers and comic books and all these topics, be sure to head on over to Elite Comics 11, pick up your tickets. They got some VIP tickets that you can pick up. They do, they're going to have a trade night that I will definitely be in attendance at the trade night as well. If you get a VIP ticket, you get access to that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And the show overall is going to be a ton of fun. But guys, what do you think about Elite Comics 11? Ryan, Rob, can we get you out to Southern California? Come on.
No promises, but they do always have a live show whenever we are streaming, it seems. So we wouldn't even be offended if you jumped over to go watch their live show right now. But no, I mean, we've mentioned a number of times before. I think most of us, if not all of us, have purchased from Elite Comics 11 before. I've bought quite a few things from them, including, stuff ranging from a few $100 to multiple tens of thousands. And like I've said before, I've seen books sell on there. As I've seen Superman 1 sell. I saw there was a 9/8 TMNT 1 first print that sold. Like, there's all kinds of items. You've got comics, you've got cards, you've got original art, everything. So I've mentioned it a number of times before, just like with Heritage, same thing here. If you're hunting for something, you should be watching and following as many different platforms as possible. And you would be crazy to not include Elite Comics 11 as one of those platforms, because I've found some incredibly rare Golden Age stuff on there. And you also have modern books. You have Absolute Batman 1s that are selling there almost daily. Mm-hmm. So there's a huge range that are selling there and are available. And you've got the live streams, which are completely separate from what you're seeing on the screen right there, where it's basically like going to a booth at a Comic-Con, and they're putting up book after book after book, and you can make offers, or you can buy them outright, all that kind of thing. So, and there's huge ranges in prices with the different dealers. And so, like I said, it'd be crazy to not follow them if you are out there hunting for anything. I mean, yeah, like look at this, like Detective Comics 29.
My goodness, 55K. Would I love to have that book? Yeah,
make an
absolutely.
Offer right now, Swag.
We can maybe make an offer live, but I do have a couple questions for you guys. It's always kind of fun to kind of peruse what they got, and there's some interesting things up here, because I did actually notice that there was a few people that had listed their Marvel Spotlight 5s. We see an 8.5 here,
a lot of Ghost Rider on there, and a lot of Punisher on there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like it's that time, for people to kind of, maybe put up their book, but maybe it's also a good time to pick it up because there's, a bunch of copies out here. So, definitely, slide over to Elite Comics 11 and make an offer. I did want to ask about a certain book right up here. Oh, yes. We were talking about CBCS, but kind of a rare sighting for a CBCS case. Any love for CBCS these days, guys? And if you want to pick up, that Ghost Rider Volume 2, I mean, is there any vintage, member berries nostalgia for the CBCS case these days?
I mean, if I was going to buy a CBCS case book, I'd buy one with that label. I was not a huge fan of the newest label, so that was actually my preferred label from CBCS. So I guess like that would be my takeaway. Like, yeah, if you're going to buy a CBCS, that's the label I like from theirs.
Yeah, and then check this out, guys. We saw that they actually had an Absolute Batman ash can.
The 9.2
a JSA 9.2, $850.
I think it sold almost instantly. Because I remember seeing that pop up. I'm pretty sure it sold almost immediately, because I probably would have been interested in it.
I didn't pull the CGC scan of this, but I did zoom into the photos here. I think there's front and back. And listen, what I'm saying is worth nothing. You have to look closer, but it looked very nice. Like, I'm not sure why it's a 9.2, but again, I didn't pull up the CGC scan. I didn't pull up the cert numbers, but I love this father-son vintage cards and comics claimed via DM, which again implies that perhaps, doesn't always mean, but it implies that an offer was made. So you can always make offers on these, but this was cool. This is a sick pickup, but I wonder if it's going to crack out and be resubmitted for a higher grade. I couldn't initially see what made it a 9.2, but again, I didn't dig deep enough, but I did notice this.
Yes, especially since it is a JSA, because that's one of those things where if it's a witness sig, you have to
lose the
you either lose it or you have to you have to have CGC press it.
Correct.
I would rather not. So, but if it's a JSA, you can have someone else press it.
Correct. That's a great.
Scroll down a little bit.
Sure.
There was something interesting that I saw that I don't think we've talked about before. Keep going. It was posted 4 days ago. I don't remember where. Right there. The buy list.
Oh, the buy list.
It's interesting that they do this, that, you know, they have buyers ready to buy these books right now. And like, if you have something, it's worth checking that out. If you have something that you're looking to potentially get out of or need cash, that they post basically like essentially like a bounty board. That they have buyers ready to buy these right now.
Actually, yeah, definitely something to take advantage of. If you're somebody who, you know, like Rob said, you have comics that are ready to go, take a look. I mean, definitely they can broker that sort of deal. They got a bunch of ASMs here, Avengers, Batmans. So definitely another perk of Elite Comics 11, which, you know, again, guys, shout out to Elite. If you are a fan of the ungraded truth here, you want to support our show, you got to support our sponsors like Elite Comics 11. I mean, it's going to help you out. Like, help us help you. Go give them a follow. Link in the description. Be sure to check them out. And, you know, I did mention that I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I have a very special, plus that I'm going to give to anybody who decides to go follow Elite Comics 11. But at San Diego Comic-Con, I had an original art panel with none other than Brett Bean himself, the creator of Dork. And I got the first print of Dork right here, and I got it signed by Brett Bean himself. This was my, you know, one pickup at San Diego Comic-Con. And if you guys don't believe me, there it is, me getting the book officially signed. And so the Ungraded Truth is going to offer a special giveaway. If you are somebody who goes over to Elite Comics 11, you go give them a follow, and you claim any book, and you say you came over from the Ungraded Truth, or you heard about Elite Comics 11 from the Ungraded Truth, Ali, who runs Elite over there, is going to let me know, and we will also send you this signed Dork first print #1 by Brett Bean. So you're going to get like a rebate, you know, essentially like a rebate, kind of like Heritage. You're getting a rebate here with a cool book. So claim anything, say you're from the Ungraded Truth, and you get that added giveaway as well. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that. If you feel like it.
Can we win that giveaway?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Is something going to sell right now while we're watching? Is because it's got to be the first person to claim something, right? So like quicker.
It's the first person. The first person that claims something, mentions the Ungraded Truth, you know, Ali will let us know, and you can get this signed book. I mean,
sweet.
I don't know what it's going for. You know, it's probably worth more than the amount of money that Manu is going to lose at the end of the year.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah,
that is true.
I mean, we're giving them away for free now, so there's no way I'm going to win the bet. I mean,
oh my goodness,
that's really cool though, Swag. Yeah. So thank you to Elite Comics 11 for being another sponsor of the Ungraded Truth. Now let us get into our next topic. And Manu, we're going to need you for this one. Okay, this is going to be this is going to be a big one. Comic collectors were big mad after this sale, but we got to talk about it now. If you'll allow me, I need to set it up ever so slightly. I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and one of the cool things at San Diego is that I actually got to see an AF-15 in a PSA slab. This was in attendance at the PSA party. This specific comic book belongs to a special
friend of ours, I think we could say friend of the channel, who owns this thing. And that same friend is soon going to be having an auction where he's putting up some crazy Marvel trading cards. That AF-15 is going to be a part of it. I think the premier maybe trading card that you can elaborate on, Manu, here is this 2017 Flare Ultra, which is a 1/1 in a PSA 8. This thing's going up for sale. There's also, like I said, the PSA 7.0 of the AF-15. There's the 2013 Marvel Flare Retro in a PSA 7. I think I checked the comps for this recently, maybe like an $8,000, $9,000 card. But a lot of these Marvel trading cards going up for sale very soon, obviously them related to Spider-Man. And being that we had this recent 1966 Donruss Card 34 PSA 8 sale that went for $25,000. Obviously, this post coming out of Manu's Instagram right here. Marvel cards may be about to have a resurgence. Perhaps the Spider-Man Brand New Day hype is not going to the comic books. Perhaps it's going to the Marvel trading cards. But Manu, I'm going to kick it over to you. Why don't you take us away on this particular sale and let us know what happened?
All right. We've got some things to talk about. So Swag, we're no stranger to talking about this set. We love this set. I deal in this set, so on and so forth. And it's been on fire for the greater part of 8 or 9 months right now. And we've seen some ups and downs in some of the spiking values, but everything has been way more expensive than it was a year ago. This card 34, is said to be, most collectors of this set recognize this and are happy recognizing this card as the Spider-Man rookie card. We'll talk more about that later, but to put it simply, it's because in this set, each character has 11 cards. It's a 66 card set. Cards number 34 through 44 have Spider-Man on the front. This is card 34, which means it's the earliest one in the set that has Spidey, so they deem it the rookie, right? And there are arguments to be made that all are the rookies or that shouldn't matter. And I make the argument that card number 6 with Spidey on the back, that's my favorite. It doesn't matter. This is what the community overwhelmingly considers the rookie. It's the most expensive card out of the set. A PSA 8 did previously sell, and I know the buyer of the card, and he was very happy with his purchase, and he had an offer for way more than what he spent on it really soon to him buying it, and he denied that offer because he had conviction. So he bought this card, not the same cert, but a PSA 8, of which there are 32, for like $6,600. Anyway, 2 days ago, this one sold on eBay for $25,000. And it's a confirmed sale. You can go into TerraPeak, you can see that it was sold, and you can see that it is registered there as paid. I saw this and I very quickly thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I have to make a post. So I whipped up that Instagram post, which is, by the way, the reason there's an extra 0. Actually, no, the reason that there's 3 zeros at the end is because I wanted at a quick glance people to think it said 25 million. I wanted to game the algorithm. No, I wish I was that smart. I was actually just rushing and I accidentally put in that 3rd 0 and I used it on every single slide. But everyone knew that it was $25,000 because it is a period, not a comment. 2 people, one person playfully pointed it out, one person pointed it out like sarcastically, and then Swag highlighted him on his channel because Swag wanted to take a jab at me too, apparently. Anyway,
he was all big mad about it. We're letting you cook here, and we're talking about this. We're going to get into the big mad part later on.
The big mad part is coming because there's big mad that you know about, that we know about, that the public knows about, and there's big mad that I've been dealing with behind the scenes, and it's freaking hilarious, right? So in any case, card sells 25K. Last time it sold 6.6K, right? 32 of them are 8s. One of them is an 8.5. There's also a handful of 9s. I don't remember the number now, 7, 8, or 9 9s, and there's only 2 10s. Here's another interesting tidbit about this. One collector who's been collecting this set for decades and has been grading for a very long time owns majority of the cards over 8. So he owns some of the 9s and he owns both of the 10s, and he has yet to release the 10s. Come on, man. This is the time to bring that damn 10 out. There's certain people think it's going to sell for $1 million. Certain people think $250,000. I don't care. I don't even want to guess. It's going to sell for over $100,000 for sure. $250,000 doesn't sound crazy. $1 million is just going to be fun to watch. It doesn't matter. I just want to see it happen. It's going to be fun. Now, people had a lot to say. Most people are enthusiastic. They love it. The post did extremely well. It got shared all over the place. People were pumped. But there are people that were just screaming manipulation. They were screaming, you know, money laundering, whatever, right? But like, where's the evidence? You know, bring the proof of this, because a number of things are taking place right now in this heated 66 Donruss market. There's no question. There are people that have motivations to have higher values. There's people that have motivations to publicize the higher values. I myself sell 66 Donruss. I sell this card. I sell complete sets. Anyone on my Instagram page knows I've sold 4 sets in the last 3 months, and they're all very expensive relative to how much they were a year ago. I sell this card. I grade this card. I have an interest in this. But that doesn't mean that things aren't actually taking place. Now, here's a bit before I get into the big mad, and before we sort of talk about some of the criticisms, I want to shed some light on things that people aren't aware of. And I know people hate when I don't get into specifics, so some specifics I have gotten permission. This is crazy, because that same day that $25,000 eBay sale happened, that's not the only PSA 8 of that card that sold for $25,000 that day. One sold privately. And the seller, who he actually told me I could talk about it. I think he's watching the show with us. His eBay account is Card Hustle 215. I'm going to verify that. And that's also his Instagram page. Now, he's big in this set. He and I have done business before. I'm pretty sure he's picked up a card or two from me. So, and that deal went well, and I appreciate him for it. But yes, I do believe his name is Card Hustle 215, and he sold privately one of those for $25K. And so when he saw my post, he said, "Where did you get this information from? I sold it privately." I said, "This was an eBay sale." He goes, "What?" And I showed him that. And so we kind of celebrated that. So that's wild. But I'm not going to talk about who bought that card. But still related to the same seller, who, again, is not your average seller. He is very, very into this set, and he deals in it. He was strategically placed to take advantage of this moment, and he deserves to. But and I sent you a link on this, swag, so however you want to pull it up, you can. There was a complete PSA graded set on eBay not too long ago for $150,000, in which card 34 is also a PSA 8. Not either of the two that I'm talking about right now. But he had this set up for $150,000. This set has now been sold privately for 6 figures. So below 150,000, but over 100,000. And this was about a week ago. This was prior to the $25,000 sales. One of the cards in this set now has a public $25,000 sale because it is right there, a PSA 8. But this selling for over $100,000 or even $100,000 is remarkable in itself, and no one knew this happened. This was private. I do know who purchased the set, and I did speak to the buyer as well. I've done business with that buyer before, and that buyer is a wealthy individual that buys things that he loves and is not afraid to spend money. Now, I'm not going to mention who he is, but I'm just letting you guys know I did speak to him, and obviously we know the seller. He's here, Card Hustle 215, and this is, as far as I'm concerned, a confirmed sale, because independently I spoke to both of them. They didn't tell me to speak to each other, and there's a reason that the the buyer at the moment still wants to be a little hush-hush. Maybe he wants to buy a few more things. Now, your average collector is looking at these numbers and thinking, what are you guys, stupid? What are you doing, right? And that's that interesting place where we're in, where the wealthy buyers that are making their decisions based on something entirely different and have the ability, have the ability to take some risk that an average person might not want to or might not be wise for them to do. They don't really care what the few people that are hypercritical, super analyzing, and this is not smart and this shouldn't be this and this card should be worth more. That buyer doesn't give a shit what that person thinks. He's not looking at your Instagram stories. He doesn't see the comments on your post. He doesn't care. He's not paying attention. He's on Heritage buying expensive cards. He's waiting for someone to hit them up and offer them expensive cards. These people only deal in the tens of thousands or higher. They don't care that you think the card should be $1,000. So a lot of the criticism just sounds like angry jealousy or whatever, right? Like if you don't have the card, maybe you're upset that it's worth that much. If you wanted the card, you're upset that it's getting more expensive. Now, I'm not saying everyone is just being that way. Some people are just being they're saying you should be cautious, but we say that too. Of course you should be cautious. This set's on fire. There's 32 of them. Does that mean it's going to sustain a $25,000 value? I don't know. Is it going to go the way of the Jordan rookie then, like is it like the Marvel comparable to a Michael Jordan card where it will sustain some crazy high value and it is going to be enormously expensive forever? Nobody knows. The risk is huge here. So you do have to play it safely. So I don't blame anybody for saying like, yo, this is crazy, but I don't know that it's actual, like, there are a couple of people that think there are a few people pulling the strings that are all collaborating on what the next move's going to be. Listen, the people that they assume are those folks, I know those folks. I'm talking to some of those folks, and I could tell you sometimes they don't know what the other guy's doing or has or whatever. One guy sells something, he tells a few other people, we all get excited about it. We're not collaborating, try to pump something. I don't have $40,000 versions of this card. You know, I just think that it's exciting. So could something fishy be happening? Of course. Could one or two players, you know, be involved in manipulating the market? Of course. But does that mean it is being manipulated? I actually think it's a combination of things. I think it's organic. I think there's some people that are trying to pull some strings. I think there's influencers that have massive influence. Gary V loves this set. Gary V personally owns a PSA 8 of card 34. He also owns a PSA 5 of it, a PSA this of it, a that of it. He's paid more for PSA 5s than PSA 5s are going for now. He bought one of the most expensive PSA 5s from a friend of ours, right? So he puts his money where his mouth is, and he doesn't always win, but this has appreciated that set nicely. Now, interestingly enough, in the last couple of days, PSA 7 hasn't sold, but 4 or 5 PSA 6s have sold. And since that $25,000 sale, the PSA 6 sales have been 3,500, 4,000, 4,500, 5,000. The most recent was 5,000. I think there was one today. I can't confirm how much it's sold for yet, but it's moving the rest of the market as we might suspect. But but hear me out here. A PSA 5, when this thing first spiked, was selling for between 5,000 and 6,000. And I'm just telling you that a PSA 6 is now selling for 3,500 to 5,000, which is less than a PSA 5. That means when it first spiked, it did come down because PSA 5 started selling in the $3,000 range. You got to be careful. This $25,000 sale could be a $17,000 or a $15,000 sale next time one comes. But there are real buyers, real transactions, real money being wired. And some people that have a lot of money might not be making the wisest calculations, perhaps. Historically, they might end up being right, but they're effectively influencing the market because we're seeing their purchases, but it's not in an effort to manipulate the market. It's just it just happens to be a result of what they're doing. They're spending their money, and everyone's like, what does this mean for my cards? And FOMO is real. People are hitting me up all day. Should I buy this? Should I buy that? How much should I spend? First, be careful. You don't know what's going to happen. Don't get too excited. Let the rich guys do what the rich guys are doing. But my number one advice is, and this could be wrong, if you've got it to sell and you're not in love with it or attached to it, sell it. Freaking sell it. I said that in the caption of my post. Like, shout out to my friend that bought the $6,600 PSA 8. Congratulations on having the conviction. Now freaking sell it. What are you buying it for? If you bought it for an investment, it's worth 5 times more today. Take your money and run. So that's some of it, and there's more to it. But I'm sorry, I had to get some of that out.
And also, like, one thing I'll comment on is that I could see a situation where someone buys this privately and spends a bunch of money, and goes, "There's no record of this out there." And if they have enough money, they decide, "I'll buy the one out there too." So now there's a record of it.
It's possible, bro.
And that sets the point for what I paid privately.
Yeah, it secures his 25K, and potentially he could sell one for a little bit more and get some of the money back, and his entry could be less. It's possible.
I mean, I could see that kind of thing happening. I also, like you said, like, so I think a lot of people tend to have a hard time accepting how much money some people have.
Yeah,
you know, where it just 25,000 just doesn't matter. You know, I mean, people go like, "Oh, well, it would be terrible to lose." It's like, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, like you just have to sometimes accept that some people have a lot of money, and if they want something, they just pay for it.
Well, let me.
It does not mean the market is that now, and that's why I always wait for confirmation sales. It's one of the things I always talk about with comics. If I see a big spike, I want a confirmation sale. And so that's what, you know, we'll have to see what maybe another sale that happens. If it's not like there's a ton of them, so they're not selling all the time. And it sounds like a lot of them are selling privately, which, you know, is a different story because you're not getting that public sale out there.
It's true. And you know, and I want to say this as well. There's a faction, is that the word? There's a faction of the Marvel card community that for a long time has been very skeptical of the enthusiasm of 66 Donruss. And some for personal reasons, you know, they love a more modern card. They like the numbered cards, you know, all this and all that. And they just don't dig the 66 set because they don't think it looks good. But at the end of the day, look, to me, the quirky quality of the set is charming. I do think some of the cards look good because it's quirky and it is what it is. But you can't erase the historical significance of the set. Like, that's ridiculous. For you to say it's not significant is just baloney. The thing is, it's Marvel's first card set. Marvel cards are a thing. When we were collecting in the 90s, we loved comics and cards, and now they're having a bit of a resurgence. Marvel cards matter. So the first Marvel card set absolutely matters. That's crazy. And it's old, right? So there's a group of collectors that say things like, you know, real Marvel card collectors know that these prices are manipulated and this set shouldn't be worth that. Like, how big of a group of people are we even talking about? There's sports card people that are now looking at these cards because of influential people that are talking about them. They don't care what 10 Marvel card collectors think about their pure collections. They don't give a shit. They want to have fun. They're recognizing the historical significance. They don't know who these Marvel card collectors are. They're card collectors, and they want to dabble, and they're moving the market. Gary V's influence is not just for Marvel card people, it's across the board. And sports card people are heavily going into this set. I'm shipping 66 Donruss cards to people all over the place in all kinds of professions and all kinds of places, and they're coming from the sports card world, and it's exciting. And I'm making these new connections, these new relationships, and it's because of this set, and it's because of, you know, the energy surrounding it. Is it dangerous? Absolutely. Is it risky? 100%. But like I said on the last slide of that post, the stage is now set for something huge. And I'm even giving not a bone. I'm also talking about the fact that there's possible manipulation. When I intentionally use the words, the stage is now set, read into that. That could be a fabrication of the stage being set. You know, this is theatrics to a certain extent, but it may or may not be. Some people are actually just moving off of their passion. But the thing is, the stage is set, regardless of who set it and for what reason. If that 10 comes to market now, it's gonna be fucking crazy. I just beeped my own curse word out, but it's going to be crazy, you know, and who knows what that means for the rest of the cards. But the card 34 is not a rare card, okay? In high grade, it's an incredibly rare card. You can buy a 34 now again for $600, $700. 2 months ago, even the lowest quality torn in half, creased, not torn in half, but creased cards were about $1,500 to $2K. Those are back to the $700 range. But a year ago, those were $250, so it's still higher than that. You can own the card if you want, but getting it in a 9 or a 10 is what real investor types are trying to do, and those aren't even on the market yet.
Okay, so but that's where I want to interject, because it's like, yeah, that's another Tuesday in the trading card world.
Exactly.
Right? Like, that's just another, but like going back to, you know, now we're kind of bringing the other guys about the big mad stuff. You know, I did my video that was just covering the sale, and I just thought that the interesting part of it was just how upset some people get over it. And, you know, a lot of the conversation being like, why would anyone pay this much if they had 25K? Well, they could buy a 2.0 AF-15 or a 3.0 or whatever the current, you know, prices are for this thing.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't understand why people don't understand. Like, they don't care. They want a trading card. Like,
they want both. They don't care.
Yeah. Or they want both, or whatever it is. Yeah.
It's one of the funny things, though. It's one of the funny things because it's the same people that think this stuff shouldn't be about money, but then at the same time, they get mad at you when you spend your money, you know, but it's because you don't spend it the way they would spend it. It's always the same gatekeeper stuff. It's like you collect it the way I collect it, or you're collecting wrong.
Yeah. And that's that, you know, but you know, it is what it is. Right. And they, okay, but back to this card set, and back to this card, and back to the idea of like, why not buy an AF-15? The person spending $25,000 on this card, like you said, Swag, is not making a $25,000 decision. They're going to buy the $250,000 AF-15. They're going to buy the 8.0 AF-15. You know, not the cost equivalent of this card. They're operating on a different level. And So regardless, 66 Donruss, awesome. But now I want to take a second. Yes, this is it. Was this supposed to be a Manew's minute? Because I don't know. But in any case, I thought
Manew's 10 minutes.
Whatever it is, right?
Blue Chew is working real well.
There you go. So this
you might need to see a doctor.
and that's hella funny. And I'm going to talk about this comment that's been left here in a second too. MPAX, I'll be right there with that. So obviously 34 is recognized as the rookie. But if you want to apply some more logic, logic has little room in collectibles. But there was a logic applied to giving 34 that identification, right? Or that whatever you call it. But the cards themselves are all printed at the same time, distributed at the same times. Any character that appears on this card, it's a Marvel's first card set. The whole entire set is kind of the rookie card set. And that's the other thing the pure collectors hate, calling a card a rookie. Listen, guys, you know what we're saying when we're saying the word rookie. We're not saying Spider-Man's a basketball player and that he had a rookie season. Don't be ridiculous. We're saying that it's the first time he appeared on a card. Everyone knows that. You know, get the stick out of your you know what. Like, come on, relax a little bit. It's a rookie card. And when a player is making his rookie year debut, every card that year is a rookie card, right? Or something along those lines. So it's kind of simple to say that every card in the set could be a rookie card. Yes, 34 is the most expensive, but that means the other ones might be sleepers. There's 11 cards with Spidey on the front. And card number 6, which is way earlier than card 34, has a huge Steve Ditko Spidey face on the back. And I love that card. And yes, it is the second most expensive Spidey card in the set. It's not like it's undervalued in the sense that no one values it. It's freaking expensive, but it's not as expensive as 34. So play a little in that one too. Now, extending away from this onto just overall Spider-Man stuff and what this ties into. Marvelous Pack said he believes Joe Jusko has a PSA 9 and, you know, Gary V is in the mix. Now, what's interesting about him saying that, it's Joe Jusko actually had a CGC 9 because he opened 2 boxes, which, guys, if you've got a sealed box of this stuff, if I can't afford it, at least let me help you sell it. Okay, hit me up if you've got a sealed box of 66 Donruss. Please, I'm serious. Now, Joe Jusko had 2 boxes. He and a friend opened them both up, picked the best, and made a few sets and submitted an entire set to CGC. The entire set got graded. That set has a CGC 9. Now, go look at the card, decide what you want about the set, about what you feel about CGC versus PSA. It's a very dope, fully graded set. The set now, are you with me? Am I allowed to say that? I don't remember if I have. Anyway, it is on that golden auction right now. It's available. And the timing's phenomenal because this $25,000 sale absolutely is going to have an effect on what that CGC graded one does. And now
sounds like we know who bought the $25,000.
Well, no, yeah, right. That'd be very interesting. No, I can say with confidence the owner of this set did not buy that set. But let's talk about this auction real quick. So our friend Justin, Spidey Hits, that we mentioned, shout out Justin, you know, big Spider-Man collector. And you mentioned that AF-15 at the PSA party, that belongs to Spidey Hits. That belongs to Justin. He submitted that and he just got that 7.0. And it is the leading book in this auction that he's doing with Golden. It's a Spider-Man collectibles auction, but a lot of this stuff is coming from Justin. Justin coordinated this. And so that's his AF-15. There's another AF-15 in this auction too. I think it's a lower grade restored for a different price point. And that gold 1 of 1. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you everything about it because I'm not a PMG guy, but it's a very expensive card. Justin originally sold this card for 6 figures years ago during the pandemic and maintained partial ownership. The majority owners and Justin have come together to make this the biggest card in this auction. So last I looked, it was already over 25K. I have no idea what this thing's going to sell for, but they seem to believe now's the time to strike to sell it.
This is the thing that I wanted to tell, because I wasn't aware of that, but you privied me a little bit to this card, so I did have some understanding. But going back to Big Mad, because Big Mad is my favorite conversation. Can you imagine the aneurysms within the comic collecting market if this card sells for more than this AF-15? I mean,
that card actually is
to see
probably guaranteed. Sorry, you're right. But I think that card is a guaranteed higher sale than the AF-15. I take that back for a second. I forgot what a 7.0 goes for. My bad. Those cards are in pretty strong competition with each other. Wow.
Yeah. Actually, I just looked. The AF-15's at 28K and the card's at 27K.
And both of these things have a great chance to get really past 6 figures in a strong way, I think. So I don't know the market for this card right now,
mean,
but the people that know
will potentially hurt the comic though is just, I mean, it's the fact that it's in a PSA case, right? I mean, it is, but with the card that helps it. So
with the card, it helps it. But we talk about the audience at Golden. Maybe it's the perfect storm. I mean, listen, we're going to enjoy watching regardless, and Justin's going to do great regardless. But this is a fun competition between this card and this comic book. I wonder if Justin's with us still. He was with us earlier, but I don't think Justin's going to give us like his idea of what the card might sell for. And I don't know what the PMG market is at the moment, but it's definitely, the cards are still doing well. Sorry.
Either way, I just think that it's an amazing time, amazing moment.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just, sometimes I always say to my child, sometimes I'm just a stenographer. You know, it's like, listen, card 34 sold for $25K. Okay, cool. You know, like what do I care or not care? It doesn't bother me. It's cool. It's not cool. It's stupid money. It's great savvy investment money. I don't know. It doesn't affect me. And we're just here to watch the show. You know, you just got to grab the popcorn and see if that one of one sells for more than a PSA 70 AF15. If it does, I actually think I'm going to, that might be hilarious. I think I'm going to have a field day with that.
That would actually be pretty funny.
But if people didn't get big mad, then it wouldn't be as fun to watch. You know?
Yeah, so, big mad is part of the
true.
They make it entertaining.
And the guy and they're not making bad points, but they're just so focused on the fact that, oh, this is all fake. It's not all fake. You know, there might be some stuff happening, but it's not. You know, I'm literally selling real cards to real collectors. What do you want me to tell you?
Yeah. I did want to go back one other thing that you were saying when you were kind of doing your, you know, you were cooking. The idea of oh no, I lost it. I had it, I lost it.
You're gonna get it back. I know you're gonna get it back. The idea
we'll get it back.
Okay.
We'll get it back. We'll get it back.
One thing that I want to add in this as a fun tidbit, this is like a news minute thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's just a fun tidbit. And still weird for me to say that about my own minute. But I was on eBay and it was card 34 and I saw it and it said $100. I was like, what the hell? Well, I got to buy this immediately. Someone doesn't know what's going on. Oh, you got it back?
I remember.
Okay, hold on. I'll be done in 15 seconds. I click it and it took me out of eBay into Golden Auctions. So now in your search results, you will see Golden auction listings as items. But when you click it, it takes you out. And obviously eBay's okay with that because eBay owns Golden. You would never send traffic away unless you own the place where the destination, right? And so that's amazing. And again, this Spider-Man auction is happening on Golden. So a lot of those listings look like eBay listings until you click them. So there's a lot of things coming together to bring attention to this. What did you get back, Swag?
The thing I wanted to talk about was, you know, how people were making the accusations that it's like market manipulation, it's private sale, it's, you know, wash trading, whatever the case is. And the thing is like, yeah, sure, maybe it is all that, but they call it the greater fool theory for a reason. Because at the end of the day, they're going to, you know, trade it amongst, you know, private people, and they're going to promote these sales figures. But someone is still going to write a check. One person is eventually going to be at the end of it, and they're going to pay for that thing. And that's real. So like maybe, yes, yeah, maybe they FOMO'd people. Maybe they, you know, kind of did smoke and mirrors to get someone to think it's worth that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that person still made that purchase. Yeah. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's real. It's real.
Isn't everything manipulated until it's real, right? Like, don't we always kind of talk about that? Like advertising is influencing people to do stuff that they may not necessarily have done without it or needed to do it, but something made them feel like they needed it or it was necessary. Like but I understand what people are saying. You know, they're saying this is all nefarious. It is not all nefarious. Could there be some nefarious people involved? Bad actors? Of course, where there's money, someone's going to try something. Of course there are.
Now, one thing I'll say though about that, when people make those claims, like, because I saw one of those posts about it, and they claimed that they had seen screenshots of people talking about making these types of fake purchases and all that. It's like, we'll post it then. If you've seen that, like if you're saying that, if that's your reason for being mad, post it.
Yeah, let me see those. I want to see, because I want to know who maybe people were involved in that, but let's see it. Yeah.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, like they didn't post those. They just said, "Oh, I've seen this stuff," and it's like, okay, if you've seen it, share it. You know, like just saying it doesn't mean anything. You know, because anybody
maybe it did, and maybe it did happen. Yeah, maybe it did happen, but you got to bring the receipts. You know, you got to bring in the receipts.
Yeah.
I have a question for Ryan.
Oh, the seller's in the chat right now. His name is actually, it's a different handle here, but he said who he is. But he says, I promise my car 34.8 sale was real. And, you know, I've done business with him. So
the last AF-15 and a CGC 7.0 sold in May for 115,000. What do you think the PSA ends at? Ends in 8 days.
I think it ends at, well, what's a 6.5 go for? Let me pull. I was going to say 80, but let's see.
July 82,000. So more recent, but I don't think that book has swung much.
Wait, a CGC sold for 80? Oh, the 6.5.
The 6.5. There's actually three sales this year of a 6.5.
That makes me feel even better about my guesstimate of 80. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, 80.
So anything above, anything north of that book gets into like the 90s, that's like a win for PSA, you would say.
I mean, I don't think it's a win for PSA unless it sells for around what the CGC one does. But like I would say it's better than what I would have thought it would go for, however much my opinion means, you know. But
I was just curious what you thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would. I mean, based on what we've seen for other ones, that's where I'm thinking kind of 80, because I'm thinking about 30% less.
I mean, that could definitely be the case. That was the case for the giant size X-Men. So we'll have to see what it sells for. We're going to report on it. We're going to see. You know, could be. I mean,
it's a good looking book. Like that AF-15 looks good. Yeah,
it's good.
Does it look CGC 8.0 good?
Well, that's the tough part, is like seeing it through a case.
7.5.
I mean, if you want to take that gamble, it's a pretty big jump. It's a pretty big jump.
Last 7.5 sold in 2025 for 144,000.
Yeah, no, it's a big jump. I think 7.5 into an 8. If you want to, I mean, I feel like your risk, if you got it at 80, your risk of crossing is very low. And so just for whatever people, you know, want to do with things like that, but it's still a ton of money, you know.
Swag, you've held that book, correct? Or at least been like right next to it.
Held it in my hands. Yes, I've seen it.
Is it CGC 7.5?
I've generally felt like CGC grades AF-15's a bit soft, just because with the 8s and 8.5s that I've seen, I don't think that they don't look like 8s and 8.5s to me. And so I just think that book feels like it gets graded a little soft, which could benefit you potentially.
I think so. Like look at the case, no, I don't think it would hit an 8. Looking at the case, looking at the book firsthand in person, not knowing what it looks like on the inside and all those things. And again, I'm not a pro grader, but to me, I look at it, I'm like, oh yeah, like this would get a 7.
How much are you bidding on it, Swag?
$79,000.
I like it. Okay. I like it.
Well, over at another auction house, I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was interesting. And, you know, again, shout out to Heritage. They have a trading card sale coming up. And, you know, we were looking at those Flair Retros, but check this out. I didn't know if you knew about this, Manu, but 2013 Flair Retro Marvel PMGs, complete set of 42.
I actually saw that set in person. It was international.
Yeah, $14,000 current bid, actually $18,000 with the buyer's premium. But this could be a big sale that, you know, might actually happen in about 11 days. And then, you know, my personal favorite, set collectors are back. 1990 Marvel Impel, complete set of PSA 10, currently at 8,000.
Cool.
I feel like that's pretty cool. I mean, you know, these cards are, cards are definitely some of my favorites. And, you know, the holograms still really expensive, right?
There's no holograms in this, right? Because if there's holograms in here, this is going to go for...
Yeah, if there's holograms, that's a whole different bag of cats.
No. Sorry, I don't think there's... Sorry, I just meant holograms in general for this 1990
They're
set.
Awesome, bro. They're awesome, yeah.
Still very, very expensive.
I've seen some decent price action on this set recently, surprisingly, too. Like some of the cards that you wouldn't expect to sell for $1,000 apparently are selling for $1,000. The base 10s, I got to look into that some more, but I did see some of that happening.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask. And sorry, Ryan, I knew you had something, but you can jump back in here. It just kind of going back to like are we back? Spider-Man Brand New Day making $1 billion, the hype and all this sort of stuff. Shout out to Rohan, who's been secretly acquiring a bunch of original art for the, you know, Marvel Series 1s and 2s and 3s and that sort of thing. I just sort of wonder, do you feel like maybe this like resurgence, if we get a resurgence back into collecting from this like next audience who is watching Spider-Man Brand New Day, and maybe, you know, they're going to watch Doomsday and X-Men's going to be their MCU for the next 10 years. Will their collecting energy go into trading cards as opposed to comic books? I wonder if that actually might happen. I wonder if Marvel trading cards is actually going to get the heat from MCU hype.
Wow, how come we never made that connection before?
Well, and that was kind of what I was going to comment on the trading card stuff, is that just seeing how many cards that was, it's like 162 cards for one of those sets and 40. It's like that all fits in a pretty small space. Just imagine 162 graded comics. Like that is a ton of space, a ton of weight. And that's the thing we've talked about before with, I feel like that's just one of the big benefits that cards have, is the transportability, the space it doesn't take up. And yeah, just seeing the sizes of those sets and just thinking like, yeah, that still probably fits in a box that's just like, you know, I don't know, like this, like hardly takes up any space.
I mean, you know, the Infinity Saga was the millennial, you know, time for that generation, and millennials still slightly more into comic books. I mean, really, I'd say it's more Gen X and boomers, but, you know, millennials still do collecting. But, you know, Gen Z could be, if you know, the MCU continues, maybe trading cards is going to be their thing that they relate to.
And comics will gladly take the scraps that come from the spikes and cards.
Yeah.
But 66 Donruss still giving us content month after month, actually year after year for you and I, Swag. What a set.
The gift that keeps on giving, much like to a lot of content creators, the gift that they keep getting is from PSA lawsuits. Because, guys, our next topic here, PSA has another they're being sued in a class action, being accused of RICO charges, which, you know, is obviously a word that we just learned from shout out to Reckless Ben and the whole Lego thing. But a class action lawsuit accusing the grading company of fraud and misleading the market and inconsistent grading practices. This is kind of a story that obviously a lot of people talking about it, but I almost wonder if there's not much there. And this is one of those, like, probably more of a social media invention rather than it's going to be something that's real. I did want to quickly shout out, as I scroll down here, my favorite meme of all time is the trading is a scam, always has been. But guys, do you have any thoughts on this PSA lawsuit? And is there any here with this one? Rob, I guess
which one is this? Because there's two of them. I don't know if you have them both pulled up or just the one.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
this is the guy in Baltimore. This is the guy in Baltimore, right? Yeah.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Which one are we talking? Are we talking about the class action lawsuit, or are we talking about the?
Well, why don't you?
Guy? No, it's the same. Because the Baltimore guy is a class, like they're trying to sue.
No, there are two different PSA lawsuits.
Oh my God.
How about this? Why don't you just pick the one that you think is more fun to talk about, and let's run with that.
I mean, my thing was like the one I saw with the Baltimore guy. It's like when I read it, it felt like you were reading the complaints that you see on Reddit boards and Facebook pages, where it's just like, it's basically the grading is a scam people in lawsuit form. And I was honestly like, my comment was, I hope the law firm that took this, it got like paid up front, because I mean, I feel like this could be a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah. So there's a RICO one, that's this one, and then there is a class action one, that's a separate one. The class action one is based around that PSA is built on a fraud because the T206 Wagner that they have graded is trimmed. And then the RICO one is the guy got mad because they wouldn't cross his cards over to the grades that he wanted. That's the one that Ryan's talking about. These both were timed to drop during the national, it seems like, which actually I had a conversation with someone about this at the show. It's probably actually the worst time to do this because all the content and media people are focused on national coverage and not desperate for PSA clickbait. So it kind of got, I mean, they got a ton of traction on social because PSA stuff always does, but it really didn't get as much traction as it probably would have if they would have just dropped this any other week that wasn't the national.
Yeah, see the Baltimore one, like I just went and checked the article because I thought I had seen class action that it says a Baltimore man is taking one of the country's leading trading card graders to court seeking a class action lawsuit alleging federal RICO violations. So I mean that maybe they're both.
They could both be class action, but there are two different suits. One's based off the Wagner, and one is based off this guy being mad that they wouldn't cross his cards over.
Yeah,
they both dropped within a day of each other.
Okay, yeah, I hadn't heard of the Wagner one. I only knew about this one.
That one actually came out first. This one came out second.
They dropped. I thought you said, I don't know nothing about them.
Yeah, it's just one of those. Isn't this like one of those like you said, Ryan? It's really the charges are grading is a scam, and it's like not consistent, and that's kind of
that seemed like the big complaint. Yeah, it's the inconsistency in grading, which I mean. We all know, right?
So we could sue people for things we all know, like exactly, like we all know.
I mean, maybe that's what it is. But
like, is it how we had that whole thing with Reholdergate where we found out that CGC's guarantees actually not that their grading is accurate,
it's
and that was
that
the
it's
whole
authentic.
Thing. Yeah. But then, was it PSA's language that they actually guarantee their grade? Is that
PSA
something that they have, or am I making
PSA
that up?
does, and they'll buy it back. That's the thing with the Wagner. They've actually tried to buy that card back, and they PSA wanted to get their hand. I don't know the full details on this, but the long and the short of it is that PSA wanted to get that Wagner back. And
is this the one that just sold?
Like no, this is forever ago. This is one of the it's cert 0000001. It's like one of the first cards they ever. It's not the first card they ever graded. It's one of the first cards they ever graded. They tried to get it back from the owner to either buy it back from him or look at it again or something, and the guy refused to sell it back to him. And now the speculation in the hobby, and this card's been around for decades, the speculation in the hobby is that it's actually worth way more because of the hoopla around it, like because of the story and the narrative and kind of what that card means and the history behind it. It actually adds a lot of value to that card. Even if it is actually trimmed, it doesn't even matter. It would probably sell for even more because of the story.
It's kind of like the Angry Girlfriend.
Yeah, it's an infamous card now, right, in the hobby, so it gets a premium almost if it ever sold because of that.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense.
I mean, do you think that there's really anything here? I mean, I don't know if you've chatted with Paul Lesko or anything.
I didn't have a chance to. Well, Lesko was at the National too. I didn't actually. This is one of the first years I didn't run into him. Everyone's focus was so much on that, but my quick take look at the Twitter lawyers were like, Lesko was. I did see Lesko had a thread on the Baltimore guy. And he was just kind of like, this doesn't look like it's going to hold up for very long.
I mean, if it did, it would be real crazy when it comes to grading across the board with everything. That would be a huge nightmare for every single grading company that exists, not just cards and comics and everything.
The implication from Lesko was that this doesn't make it past, like it's going to get thrown out almost immediately. Like whatever the first thing they have to do, it's basically not going to survive that. He doesn't have a lot of hope in this moving forward. That's the vibe I got from he has a big Twitter thread on it. You could probably pull it up and find it, but yeah, that one didn't seem like it had a lot of legs to it. I don't know if he did a thread on the other one or not. I've been so knee deep in the National that I was in that bubble for 5. You know how it is when you go to San Diego, nothing else exists.
Totally. I wonder, I guess, this is probably one of those cases where like the implication is so huge that, I feel like,
it makes for great clickbait videos, but nothing's probably going to come of it.
Yeah. And most judges or people would throw this out and be like, like, what is this? We can't, this is just like a ridiculous precedent that if you set this, it's sort of like, when we talk about, will it one day be that Topps trading cards are viewed as gambling, which sure, maybe you could make this technical argument, but it's like the implication is so huge for every trading card company or every company that makes trading cards.
Yeah. Are they willing to destroy industries for it? Because that's what it would do.
Yeah, essentially. So I don't know. Interesting story. Thought it would be kind of worth highlighting. I will say that it does kind of go into the the content creator pipeline media machine, where it's like, anytime there is a, juicy potential story like that, everybody gets salivating, and I guess we're not innocent of that because, hey, we're talking about it right now. But before we move on to kind of the final topic of the show as we wrap up here, we did have a few super chats. Shout out to David Snyder Norma with the 199 that has a bunch of questions for Neo here. Neo, did you see any metal cards at the National?
Yeah, I saw that set that you showed on Heritage earlier. And there were some scattered around in cases, but
so was Heritage there then?
Oh yeah, Heritage has a huge display at the National every year. They had a bunch of crazy Star Wars stuff, like props, like Darth Maul's lightsaber from Phantom Menace is up for auction. I think
nice.
Was at the show. There was a bunch of other stuff.
They have some big Disney auction that's coming up too. I just got in the mail.
Some of that stuff was
for
there.
Some reason.
Yeah, some of that stuff was there. Heritage always has a massive. Heritage essentially usually has a museum, like a mini museum at the National every year.
That's actually really cool. I mean, just for that alone, because, I'm obviously going to all the comic shows. So, Heritage has a massive presence, and they're usually bringing original comic art and comics.
They actually have some original Magic the Gathering art. It's in my video from today. Actually, I walked through the Heritage booth.
I was gonna say, Mickey, his ears just
it's probably up. If you go to pull up Heritage and search Magic the Gathering art, it probably is up. Usually, they're showing stuff that's up for auction.
I would like to see that in person. But yeah, that's actually really cool. All right. Well, David has another 199 here. He says, Neo, do you like Detroit more or than Chicago?
I haven't been to Detroit in forever, so I'll default Chicago, but I don't have a lot of
And then but that's good because he follows up with another 199 says, you're moving to Chicago.
No. Definitely don't want to go to Chicago.
Last one for David here with another 199 says, Neo, is a PSA Plano, Texas submission location inevitable?
I would assume it. Well, maybe not, because they don't currently accept drop-off submissions at Florida. They do at Jersey, I think, sometimes. So maybe. I don't know.
You're right. They do in Jersey sometimes. They do have drop-off.
Yeah, they do like walk-in Wednesdays, it's called, but I think they've cut back on them partially because of the backlog. Like I think the grading companies would love to do a lot of this stuff, but they're so backlogged right now. It's like, why? We barely have time to grade what we have, let alone do these like extra convenience things.
Yeah.
Are we at the live selling portion of the show? Is it auction time? It's time for us to sell stuff? No. Oh, my bad.
Are we selling stuff? No, what do you got? What do you got for sale?
Everything. Something? I need to sell everything. I need to make a bunch of money. I got plenty of stuff.
Donruss.
I do sell stuff too.
No. I need to stop selling $66 for a while. Swag, sell something. I got a 9.6 Spawn VHS. Okay, but anyway.
All right. Well, you were to slide into the DMs later on. If you're interested in a 9.6 Spawn VHS. But as we kind of wrap up the show, I wanted to address this. I thought that this was cool, but I thought maybe it'd be fun to go back to Speculation Town because we were doing speculation. But friend of the channel, Jeremy Padua, put out a recent reel that was pretty interesting. I mean, it got a ton of views, and he actually did a 6 collectibles that he's predicting in 10 years are going to be, increasing in value. And hey, shout out to Jeremy. I mean, he called a lot of the Pokemon stuff. He called a lot of, I guess he called manga in a way, although, maybe
created.
Well, created. Yeah, I was going to say. You might say he created
That's how this
the Pokemon as well. Yes, it's how it works. It is what it is. But let's play the game, guys. Let's play the game, and let's see if he's going to be able to create this. I just thought that we could quickly, go around the panel and just see what you guys think about this. One of his predictions is Harry Potter. As you guys can see, is he's showing off these Harry Potter first edition, second editions, things like that. What do you think about the Harry Potter spec 10 years from now?
Yes.
I mean, this video was where I learned that there were like very short printed first prints of Harry Potter. I had no idea, like the Chamber of Secrets. I had no idea. So, I mean, I like Harry Potter. I'm just like a movie guy and I've listened to the audiobooks, but I mean, hey, it sounds like if you could get your hands on one of the first prints, or he had the second print in his video, it seems like I mean, it's obviously it's a huge franchise. They're still making stuff about it. They're going to milk that forever. So probably not a bad place to be.
Yes. What about you, Rob? Are you a Harry Potter believer?
I think it'll probably depend on. There's a new HBO show coming for that, so that could potentially impact that. If it's really good, it could drive it. I think people are a little skeptical of that going in. So if that show tanks, it could be a little bit of a boat anchor around that, but it is a massive franchise, so it's hard to deny the power of Potter.
The power of Potter. Oh, he's got
the power
tattoo.
of Potter.
You like
I myself am a fan of books. I think books are cool. Like first edition Lord of the Rings or old. I tried to get you guys to talk about the Odyssey last show, but nobody wanted to talk about it.
No, you got it now, though. We're here with you.
I believe in Harry Potter first editions. Okay, his second prediction here is vintage toys. Just a bigger, broader category. He's showing some wrestling toys. What do you guys think about toys? I got to be honest. I am not a toy fan.
Can I show?
Like some of this stuff was already taken off. Like,
yeah, I'm also not a toy guy, but toys I thought had been pretty huge. So I'm less in on his, like, what is it, like 10x in 10 years or something? I don't see that for toys. I don't see.
He thinks it's growing. He thinks it's undervalued, I suppose is what he would argue.
Well, but I think he did say 10x in 10 years though, and he was like, we'll revisit, then. And I don't see, like, Harry Potter first editions. Like, I could see that doing something like that, but toys, maybe there's some, like, you could cherry pick, but
I see a lot of like graded vintage toys already sell for a shit ton. So
they do.
I don't feel like that's like, a sleeping giant or anything like that. It's not like manga where no one was like paying super close attention to it and then it went ballistic. Like, crazy vintage toys already sell for a crap ton, especially like Star Wars and G.I. Joe stuff.
Yep, that's where I pretty much see it at. Oh, but not only that, I mean, like there's some stuff that I look for that sells well, even ungraded. Like, for instance, obviously during the 90s, KB Toy Store and all that, and Spider-Man animated series, and that's kind of my avenue, and X-Men. There's like just weird, rare boxed toys, kind of like this Venom costume thing that you would buy at the toy store, and it sells for over $1,000 when a clean sealed one shows up. And people don't really know that market exists, but it's a niche market. It definitely exists. Toy hunters know what's more scarce, what's more rare, so on and so forth. I don't know if the entire toy market goes, but was that his thesis exactly, or was he specifically talking about some different kind of toy? Because I remember when I watched this.
No, he was being very generic in his statements.
Okay. He mentioned his history as somebody that used to work within the toy industry, and he just had held up wrestling toys that he himself actually worked on.
He made that one. He
was using it as an example of like just generally the toy market, adult toys, so to speak. But okay, we heard about toys. His third one here, as you guys can already see, graded vinyl. What do you guys think about this one?
I feel like graded vinyl is like comics. Like I don't see 10x in 10 years graded vinyl. Like,
what the fuck is that case? What the hell?
Yeah, he talked about it. Some special like joint case. Yeah, he was talking about it in the video. But the I don't know. I can see it being something that continues demand, but if you're making the argument of people aging out of things, I think vinyl falls into that camp too.
Yeah, records are meant to be listened to. What
also, yes, records are meant to be listened to.
Totally. Well, like I will say that like vinyl has become cool, and a lot of like younger kids do like to grab vinyl and all that sort of thing. But
I feel like vinyl's like vintage Magic the Gathering though. People don't want it graded. They want to be able to listen to it. Like vintage Magic, people buy it because they actually want it for their decks.
That's what I learned from Nicolas Cage in The Rock. You gotta
100%.
listen to it.
Yeah, true.
With what's her face on his lap.
Sorry, Minu, I'll let you jump in. I think like you said, Ryan, with the comics thing, I think that this just has a size problem. I actually think that having them be graded is going to be too cumbersome for it to ever.
Even more space. Those things are taken up.
One of the things that I find interesting about it is, because I have a friend that is getting into other kinds of collectibles, but comes from the vinyl world. So he educated me a little bit about vinyls. And apparently a lot of the good rare stuff has already done its 10x in 10 years. It's already done these crazy moves. Like some vinyl has already gotten very expensive ungraded. So does grading vinyl, getting into the grade scarcity aspect of it, the high grade collectible aspect of it, does that put another 10x on some things in 10 years? I really don't know. There are some vinyl that is it called vinyl when it's plural or vinyls? I don't know.
I think vinyl is both singular and plural.
Yeah, there's some vinyl that I don't remember ever owning the vinyl of, but there was vinyl in circulation to go along with even the CDs in the 90s for some stuff. And I've seen it get incredibly expensive, incredibly tough to find without ever being graded. And outside of vinyl, I do know that people are grading obviously cassette tapes and CDs, and I'm seeing some of the 90s hip hop stuff go crazy, you know, like the Notorious B.I.G. first album, and so on and so forth. Like me personally, I would love to have like a Reasonable Doubt, a Jay-Z Reasonable Doubt in a high grade graded. I don't have any graded CDs or vinyl or anything, but I wouldn't mind owning it. But some of the stuff already got really expensive without being graded. I would be curious to know what grading introduces to it.
Yeah, absolutely. CDs I could see. Vinyl, I think that maybe it's like more of like a pure collector thing. So I don't really know. Okay, his next pick right here, magazines, specifically rookie magazines. He was talking about how this format for sure, but then like I think he made mention of like, oh, this is the first Hank Aaron magazine. So like when people start to, apply the rookie idea. What do you guys think about magazines as a possibility? Or
I like that one more. Not just magazines in general, but specifically that tight market where
first cover
like the first cover and that kind of thing. I do like that more. But yeah, it's the same problem though. Those like magazines are big and graded magazines are really big, and nobody likes those cases. Even if the cases are nice, like nobody likes dealing with them. They're a pain to store, pain to display. That's the big downside.
I mean, that's PSA's. I think that's PSA's market to own. They're already doing very well in graded sports magazines.
But yeah, I have been seeing graded magazines. They've been doing fairly well recently, so that one wouldn't surprise me.
Okay. You know you're in on the graded magazines.
Oh, I'm in on the graded magazines. Absolutely.
All right. Next up, his next prediction.
Mickey, I think something happened with your mic. I don't know if you switched mics.
Hold on a second.
We can hear you, but like barely. I'll say while you're figuring that out, I'll say on mangas, which is the next thing there. It feels like that already happened. Like, haven't we just lived that moment in the last 3 months? Like,
yeah. I mean, if like if the first One Piece jumps another 10x, I mean, good God, it's going to be like. Maybe it will. Who knows? It'll be like $100 million book or something.
Because Jeremy hasn't 10x his investment yet. He's the guy that 10x other people's investment so far. So he has to get his 10x in 10 years out of it.
But I mean, like I've said before, I with manga, I don't know what the collector base is. The properties are very, very popular. I just don't know what the collector base is for paying tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, whatever it is for those, those graded books. But I feel like it's not impossible. It's definitely one that could happen, but I need more time on the market to see what really is out there and what people are really willing to pay.
Well, yeah, I agree with you. Well, Swag is busy, and I don't think this is. I'm gonna my 10 VHS 10x in 10 years. But also, no, I just want to respond to someone's comment because someone was like, the Spawn VHS is.
We're getting feedback.
Yeah, now we're getting feedback.
Swag. Someone said the Spawn VHS is perfect for grading because no one ever wanted to watch it. I just want to say this isn't the Spawn movie, which that's such a disrespectful thing to say, but no, because I love Spawn. This is Stan Lee Presents the Comic Book Greats, and he interviewed Todd McFarlane. Well, Todd McFarlane was still at Marvel, and the interesting thing about it is Spawn is on the cover before Spawn was even a named character, and I'm assuming Todd had something to do with this because he's like a marketing monster, and he probably insisted that his upcoming character be on the cover. Stan, I would assume, did not know that Todd had plans to create Image Comics yet, and this is the first cover appearance of Spawn ever, and the first time Spawn's ever printed in color. Every appearance of Spawn prior to this is a black and white ad for this VHS in other preview magazines. So this is not Spawn's movie. This is before Spawn even existed.
So this is the visual representation of McFarlane stabbing Stan Lee in the back.
Wow. Man. Wow, that statement has to live. Oh, that's me, Stan. I didn't say it. He did, but yeah, it's wow. I didn't put it like that. Oh gosh, Ryan. But that's what this is.
It's still quiet.
Not really.
Quiet?
Yeah.
You're like a pasta. It's like it's picking up like your PC mic or something.
Yeah, that's what
and guys, if you don't want to buy one, but you have one for sale, I will buy it from you. Sealed copies of that VHS I am buying. Hit me up, please. Thank you.
All right, he's working it. All right, and then what was the last one? It was Pop Culture Art. Oh, that
No,
was
graded
a
scripts,
bonus.
which
Oh, yeah, it was great. It was graded scripts.
They're not
Graded
even
scripts.
grading them anymore.
Graded scripts, yeah, like they aren't grading them now. That's well, he was saying scripts. It wasn't necessarily that it was graded. He was saying scripts, but that one's
Swag, you're still quiet.
Yeah.
What happened to Swag's mic?
I don't know what happened to my mic. It kicked out. Can I talk like this? If
Not really. It's not great.
You're gonna hate it in post if that's
talk like this. Is this terrible?
It almost got better. It almost got better for a second. Like there's maybe a loose cable.
This is better. This is worse.
It's
pretty
same.
bad.
It's pretty
And
bad.
we're getting feedback.
Oh my God.
The show is over.
We haven't even gotten to the spoilers of the movie. We're running. This is about to be 3.5 hour show.
Yeah,
it's all good.
We might not be getting the Spider-Man, I guess.
How can we not get to Spider-Man? I actually went and watched the movie.
I know we made Manu watch it just so we could talk about
Oh shit! I enjoyed it, guys. There's the Spidey segment.
All right. Let me do this. So the last topic. I know this probably sounds terrible or whatever. Was his graded scripts and original art. I thought that was kind of cool. Original art, yes. Magic the Gathering, fantasy. That would be great. That would be great to see it. One thing he didn't mention was graded video games, which, we're not going to talk about graded video games. There's a big graded video game sale. Manu, you can talk about this if you want to talk about this, but why don't we wrap up the show and you guys take us away. Let's talk about Spider-Man Brand New Day as we kind of wrap it up here.
All right, so, Ryan, take it away with the Brand New Day.
So yeah, we'll caveat there could be spoilers here. So,
put the spoiler banner up.
Yeah, we're 2 hours and 45 minutes in this thing.
Yeah, spoilers will come, guys. If you haven't seen the movie, do not watch this portion of this show.
Yeah, so give people a couple minutes to clear out because there's a lag before you get in the spoiler territory.
Well, just talk about how you enjoyed the movie in the meantime.
Yeah, so I loved it. I absolutely. So there was a comment early on where someone said, "Is Automatic Comics just going to think that it was fine?" Because that's what I said about the Odyssey. The Odyssey, I was like, "Yeah, it's fine," but I love this movie way better than the Odyssey. My rating on it was I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. The only thing that I knocked it for was I felt like it was a little too long. I noticed, like, when I was sitting there near the end, I was like, I feel like they could wrap this up. I noticed my wife starting to check her watch, and she thought it was a little too long too. But I loved the character development. I loved the action sequences. Bit of a spoiler here. When the battle scene with Spider-Man and Hulk was top notch. Like
that's in the commercial. So
it was awesome. But
it was really good.
The other thing that I really liked because I went into this knowing very, very little about this movie. I really liked how much the Punisher was in it. I didn't know if we were just going to be like getting a tiny little bit of him, kind of similar to what we saw with Tarantula, how people were buying up, the Tarantula book, and it was really just 2 seconds on screen. But Punisher was in there a ton. You got a lot of talking scenes. It wasn't just action sequences. You got him fighting. You got kind of some emotional stuff with him, which was great.
A meaningful role, a real star in the movie.
Yeah, he was.
Bernthal and Holland are like best friends too, so I think that probably helped.
Well, their chemistry was great on screen too. So
yeah, they've been friends for like a decade plus, I believe.
Wow.
And the big thing for me too was that because I know some people, like in the comments for I did a review on this that came out that I put out earlier today. Was that some people will just say they like Spider-Man the movie just because it's Spider-Man. But me, I didn't really like the last 2 movies. I'm one of the people that was out there that, for me, I really liked the first one. Again, I thought that one was a little long, but I really liked the first one. I would give that one like a 9.5 out of 10. The second and the third, I just got so tired of, and especially in the third, of Spider-Man making these selfish, stupid decisions, and that being what's driving the conflict in the movie. You did not get that in this movie, finally, where instead he was being selfless. And that's what was actually, causing struggles for him in this movie. So I really, really liked that. But yeah, I'd like to hear other people's opinions too.
Neil, go. No, you want me to hop in? I enjoy. You guys know I don't make it to the movies that often. Recently, I've been to the movies a lot because of someone very special in my life. But and so we went and watched this movie together, and I enjoyed it. I'm so happy that we went. The audience loved it. That someone in the comment section said that the theater cheered afterwards. We had people clapping afterwards. We watched it in an intimate theater. It wasn't hundreds of people, but the crowd was into it. I think visually the movie is really stunning. I like sort of the darker tone of a lot of the film, and it was great. Now, so I enjoyed it. Just to simply put it, as a film, I enjoyed it. I had no idea what to expect from it. I did not know certain characters were going to be part of this movie. Like at the beginning, there was just certain things that started to happen. I was like, wait, what's happening? And when it started to come together, I was like, no way, what? So that's very cool. And I agree with you. Punisher was fantastic in this film. Like I loved his character. I loved how he was introduced to the role, his involvement in the film. It was really terrific. And then there's two things that I'll say real quick, and this is just interesting to me. This is just a fun tidbit. So Spider-Man's Amazing Fantasy 15, what is it, 62, 63?
62.
Right? 62. And here we are, 64 years later, right? There could be people that were, 20, 25, 15 years old when when Spider-Man was introduced to the world, and in the 70s or 80s they might have seen some of the live action stuff, and now here we are with how graphics and effects and digital animation and everything, like how far we've come. People have gotten to see how good these movies have gotten over the decades, right? And that thought to me was so impressive. From Amazing Fantasy 15 to the way this film looks, there are individuals that have experienced all of that. And I thought that was amazing. Now, on a bit of a cynical side, because I'm always like this about films, it was really good, but I didn't walk away from it. I enjoyed it. I did not walk away from it with the idea of one of the best films I've ever seen in my life. And I've heard some people say that. And it could be uniquely me, where I have an inability to appreciate what most people do. There's plenty of shows people love, and I watch them and I think, what the hell, what a waste of time. I'm not going to watch this again. There's, things that people find really funny that I think are really stupid, all kinds of stuff. So it's a very me thing. Is this one of the greatest films, just as films? Am I off base in saying I didn't walk away thinking?
No, I mean, I would say
it's a great MCU
one of the greatest.
Movie. It's not
a
good overall movie.
One of the greatest comic book movies that's ever been made.
I'm happy with yes. I'm there with that. There was elements in this that makes it so much worth watching, so fun, great experience. And there you go, and I thought it was
it's like I would say it's a fringe top 10 comic book movie if you're including like the Nolan Batmans and that.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because in terms of MCU, now Grant,
I mean both Avengers movies are better, like the Infinity War and Endgame are better. I would argue Civil War and
I would not put Endgame above it, because Endgame, to me, the only thing I really like about Endgame is the last 45 minutes. I do not like time travel in these movies. I think it causes all the problems that we have. I don't like stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think the community would put it above it.
But Infinity War, I watched that earlier today. Oh my God, that movie is so good. Infinity War is
strange,
friggin' awesome.
Stark Spider-Man sequence in Infinity War is my favorite section of any Marvel movie ever.
Like when they're on the ship,
like from when they're fighting in the city,
or the entire
thing
in general.
Just that interaction between when Strange and Stark interact for that first 10 minutes. It's just like, that's the magic right there.
I was going to say, how can you guys hear me okay?
It's better than what it was, but it's still not fantastic.
I'm on my phone, otherwise known as Potato Mic right now. So
and it sounds like it.
It's fine, we can hear you though.
At least you can hear me. I did want a +1, Rob. Those scenes are great, and I think the Doctor Strange Thanos interactions is maybe my favorite scene in all of the MCU. When they were just having their conversation and then leading to their fight. But yeah, I didn't know if you had weighed in officially, Rob, with your thoughts.
I do like Infinity War better than Endgame. No, I really liked it. I think it was really, really good. It's not one of the best movies of all time. It's one of the better MCU movies, absolutely, for sure. I'm a little torn. I liked that we didn't get the MJ payoff in the way that a lot of movies probably would have put them back together again at the very end, and I like that they didn't do that. I like the early plot twists where they do that. I don't want to get super spoilerly, but where the Sadie Sink thing happens with MJ,
that was cruel. That
was mean. I kind of had a feeling that's what was going to happen.
I thought it was like, at first I thought it was legitimately her, and I was like, oh my God,
that's what you were talking about. My bad.
Brutal. Yeah.
That was a gut punch and a half. You felt that one, even if you were like kind of thinking like, oh, you know, maybe she did get in there, and then you know, you get the punch in the gut on that one.
I don't think I was the only person in the theater that said, "Oh shit," the moment you realized. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's an I know that we got the Kamala Khan mutant line, you know, at the end of Miss Marvel or whatever. And I don't know how many people even watched that show, but everyone saw the payoff on that. And it's an interesting way to introduce Sadie Sink's character. I'll say that we'll get spoily, but I don't want to completely throw it out there. But the Sadie Sink character introduction, to do that through a Spider-Man movie and where that kind of goes next, I think was an interesting place to put, you know, one of the key members of that team.
And I'll say a lot of the people in my audience including myself, did not see that coming. You heard audible shock in the theater when it was revealed.
Yeah.
Really? I just assumed most people knew,
no,
I didn't know for sure, but I didn't
even know she was in that movie.
Really?
I didn't know who Sadie Sink was. And in the group chat, when you kept saying Sadie Sink, I was like, "What's a Sadie Sink?" And now I realize the actress's name.
I feel like because we're in the collectible world, like you can't help but hear that, oh, maybe she's playing a certain character. So I kind of expected it to be that. So it wasn't like a twist for me. I guess you could say that it was ruined for me, but I just knew that that was on the table.
Oh, wow.
It helps that she looks exactly
I knew she had
like
been
her
cast, but I did not know she was in that movie, and they don't show her face until super late.
Yeah.
Can I say something about it? It's like, you know, I hear so overall, I really like the movie. I definitely have my critiques and stuff. I heard you say like top level, so cool to see Spider-Man just doing Spider-Man-y things, like you know, buffed up power, being like an actual like crime fighter. That was awesome just to see that. I love seeing the return of a certain big character who's very, very strong. Love seeing Punisher, his portrayal in it.
You can see Hulk's literally in the commercials. That's not a surprise.
But if I'm being nitpicky about the Punisher, for any people who know about wrestling, I feel like they kind of booked him kind of poorly. And what I mean to say by that is like he was cool, but like he ended up being like kind of the guy who like did the wrong thing in every scene that he was in, you know, even the end.
It was also like the PG-13 version of him instead of the rated R version.
Yeah, but well, I like seeing him, but it would have been nice if it's like he did something that was like, oh, if that was a really important thing that he did. He kind of just was always like, you know, on the side there, but it was still really cool. And I
like at the end how they kind of paid the homage to the 129 cover.
Yeah,
in a weird way.
Cool.
Like,
I really like what they did with the Sadie Sink character. I've heard some criticisms about what it is, but I think it's like fertile to set up what inevitably will come. And as it pertains to those characters viewed in society. I'll say it like that.
Yeah. Well, and the chip thing too is like a no-brainer. Like that's a classic story.
Well, like when you saw that get made, I was like, "Oh God, this is gonna be terrible." You know, especially getting in the hands of Damage Control and all that. Oh God.
I would like.
So do we think Damage Control is just like the precursor to like the Sentinel program? Like, is that just?
It might be, but
like, is that guy the new like Bolivar Trask essentially?
Yeah. I think that's what. You know, a lot of people are always like get upset whether it's like, oh, it should stick to the source material, it should stick to the comics. And it's like, to a degree, like I feel like if you lay the foundation that works within the world that you've built, to where it's like, do you really need to make an Oliver Trask and like do the whole like Sentinel program? Like, yeah, like kind of like what you're saying, Rob. It's like, oh, it's actually more interesting if like, yeah, this segues into, you know, that thing and Damage Control morphs to that. It's like, use the chips that you have on the table to create the world that you've already built. That's what I think.
When you think about it even a step further of like Damage Control, how they've been pervaded in the MCU, like they've been getting all that tech. Like they took all the alien tech from the earlier Avengers movies and stuff. So it would make sense that if anyone in the MCU would have like the leg up to build a giant superhero killing robot, it would be them.
Totally. Yeah,
they even kind of hinted at that because they had Shocker's gloves, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we take all the tech and then turn it to good."
Yeah. But overall, the movie was excellent. made $1 billion. It's probably going to be the highest grossing movie of all time, to be honest.
I'll also add this on the Sadie Sink side. Very interesting use of those powers, like the jumping from person to person type thing. Like, I don't think we've ever really seen that used in that aspect before. That was an interesting way to portray that, because that's a tricky power set to be like, this looks cool on a movie screen.
And that's what I commented on.
This constantly isn't exactly like the coolest thing to see on TV.
Yeah.
That's what I commented on in my review too. Is I liked how they did that. That it was something that, for me at least, and maybe there's some comic book out there where it was represented that way. I don't know, but for me, it didn't allow me to immediately know who that character was. So it was still a surprise when it was real. Because when I was sitting there, I was thinking, I was like, who does this? I was like, who has this power set? Trying to think who the villain was. And so I really did like that they took a slightly different approach to it. And then you do get the legitimate kind of full
she levels
powers
up
at the end, you know?
Yeah, she levels up.
Yeah,
for sure. And then chat mentioned it, but the Florence Pugh cameo was fantastic.
That one,
you could put her in anything, and I'm there for it.
To me, that felt a lot, because I watched a lot of anime. It felt like the stereotypical where they put attractive women in a one of those like Japanese saunas, you know, in the bath. Like that is exactly what that was.
Oh, she was Black Widow.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, I got a big crack out of that. So I thought that was
Manu, you're
I didn't know who she was either.
Manu, you haven't actually seen Infinity War and Endgame, right?
Maybe I saw Endgame. I think maybe.
God.
I don't remember, bro. Listen, I think I did. Look, listen. Everyone tells me what happens, you know.
Manu, it's you're gonna have a great time if you watch through some of the. You don't have to watch all of them, but like watch the movies. Watch Doomsday at the end of the year. I think you'll have a good time.
It's already scheduled that I have to watch all of these things.
I mean, you did eventually watch Lord of the Rings, right?
I watched all of them, 4.5 hours each, all of them. I'm on like the 5th Harry Potter, and I love Harry Potter, but I thought there were 3. I didn't know there was 9.
We're 3 hours in. Give Manu's 30-second take on Lord of the Rings.
No. I don't want everyone to hate me after this. Listen,
we already know. Then get out of here.
We're just running around.
Yeah, no. Listen, no.
Just throw the ring in the thing. Why does that take?
Why didn't the Eagles carry it?
Yeah, no. The movies.
Manu's totally. And why didn't they just Eagles take it there?
Dude, 100%. they just need an intermission. Okay, we watched the extended cuts, so like 4.5 hours. All of them were in the theater. I only watched the second movie out of the theater. 20 years ago, when I watched part 1, I fell asleep. Everyone hates me when I say that, and they're just a bit long, and I wish they had intermissions. You know, I wish you could just take a 10-minute breather in the middle and then get back to it. But I enjoyed them. They're visually stunning. They're really cool. And now we're watching the Hobbit films. Or I think I just finished.
Those are not good.
You said they weren't good. I liked it. The first
Hobbit. My God!
End it.
Well, hold on. I will defend Manu a little bit. They're not good movies, but if you're already bought in to like just enjoying the world, like
that's what I started to do. I just started to enjoy the world.
Yeah, just feed me this.
That's all it was, right? And the dragons are cool and stuff like that, you know.
Man,
but
like the farting and burping scene, like, oh gosh, it's just
man.
Guys, we're gonna make
Manu's minute is now Manu's shit takes, according to Derek.
Holy shit.
But we just crossed 3 hours. I gotta go watch House of the Dragon.
Yeah, we gotta wrap it up, guys. We gotta wrap it up. Well, listen, Spider-Man was great. It's worth $1 billion. Comic books are back. Vibes are on.
Everybody go buy AF-15s. Pump them.
It's been another great show.
Get card 6 from Donruss.
Buy your Donruss. Buy your arcade flyers.
Get swag some sliders.
You know, listen. Support the show. Subscribe to the Ungraded Truth YouTube channel, because I need to buy a new microphone. Hop on over.
Go to Elite. Check out the Heritage code.
Save $50
can
at
afford
Heritage.
a new microphone.
Can you guys let me do the thing?
Get Justin's AF-15 to $130,000, please.
Yeah. We're doing it for you because your mic sucks. No one could hear what you're saying.
They got to go support our sponsors so I can get a new microphone. Remember, shout out to Heritage Auction. Link in the description. Exclusive offer, $50 off on your first order. Also, head on over to Elite Comics 11. Follow their Instagram account. And remember, special offer. The first person that claims the book and lets Ali know that they came over from the Ungraded Truth, you're going to get that copy of Dork #1 signed by Brett Bean himself.
I can't believe it hasn't happened yet.
Maybe it has. It may have already happened.
Go start a GoFundMe for Swag's microphone replacement.
Yeah. Until then, guys, thanks so much for watching. We will see you all on the next show.
Detective Comics set a record for 1.8 million. Nobody really cares.
Who are annoyed that people are asking them questions, is this book bad? That question didn't exist a year ago.
Somebody's submitting like 25 vintage books and getting 15 9.9s.
We always think, how can it ever get crazier? And then it always does.